All right. Good evening, everybody. I suspect we don't have our quality options back yet, but I give up. Twitch wins. They're taking my money as an affiliate, and they're not giving me the thing that I need, which is the encoding options, and I'm mad about it, but I'm going to get past it, and we'll have a good time tonight regardless. So my apologies for the time that all of this has taken to get set up. I was really hoping to try and give you some quality options, but again, it's just not going to... I don't think this is going to be happening tonight. At the very least, I'll maybe check in periodically to see if those settings magically manifest. But maybe it's better that we just get on with the game. I should mention I'm going to have to get up from the keys and run around. Excuse me. For a little bit. But let's watch an opening cinematic, and then I'll talk a little bit about how I've spent my weekend, or last week, and just generally spend some time catching up. So here is the opening to Troy, A Total War Saga.
So it has come to this. Good men, torn from their kin, to rage and spill the blood of other men's foes. But we will not be forgotten. Our deeds shall be known, even when our bones are dust scattered on the wind. And our names will inspire the mighty to rise.
All right, so as you can see, I've actually put a little bit of time inside this game, and some of you may remember back when this was first released, we played some of it. So this was released for free on the Epic Store for the first 24 hours. Now, the game has since arrived on Steam, and alongside Steam, there was the Mythos DLC. And then, of course, since then, there have been a number of other DLC added. I wonder if under extras, yeah. So I have all of them. Amazon, Blood and Glory, Ajax and Diomedes, Mythos, and Reus and Memnon. So I actually rather like this one. I found that I sometimes struggle to get into some of the Total War games, but Troy actually kind of spoke to me a bit. And one of the things, one other one that really worked for me was Rome 2, which I realized was not the most popular entry. Now, I've not done that one on stream. But one thing I wanted to sort of draw to your attention before we go too far into the game, this shield, it has significance. So this is the shield of Achilles, which gets a lot of attention, or at least a lot of material on it in the book. In fact, so book 18 of my copy here. I quite like the Robert Fagel's translation, and that's kind of true for just about anything where there's a Robert Fagel's translation. But let me see if I can find the the description. I don't want to do the full. I suspect the full description is quite long, but let me see if I can find the description of the shield. All right, so bully, good sir, bully. How you doing? And Total War, this is a pleasant surprise. Yes, hello, Vanguard Master. Yeah, everybody's really into Total Warhammer, so I'll talk about that in a little bit. But here is the description of the Shield of Achilles. So this is, if you have the same Penguin copy that I do, it's page 483. Otherwise, this is book 18, starting roughly around line 560. Now, take a look at some of the details on the screen and see if you can notice. So, and First Hephaestus makes a great and massive shield, blazoning well-wrought emblems all across its surface, raising a rim around it, glittering, triple ply, with a silver shield strap run from edge to edge, and 5 layers of metal to build the shield itself. And across its vast expanse, with all his craft and cunning, the god creates a world of gorgeous immortal work. There he made the earth, and there the sky and the sea, and the inexhaustible blazing sun and moon rounding full, and there the constellations, all that crown the heavens, the Pleiades and the Hyades, Orion in all his power too, and the great bear that mankind also calls the wagon. She wheels on her axis, always fixed, watching the hunter, and she alone is denied to plunge in the ocean's baths. And he forged on the shield 2 noble cities filled with mortal men, with weddings and wedding feasts in one, and under glowing torches they brought forth the brides from the women's chambers, marching through the streets, while choir on choir the wedding song rose high. And the young men came dancing, whirling round in rings, and among them flutes and harps kept their stirring call. Women rushed to the doors, and each stood moved with wonder. And the people massed, streaming into the marketplace, where a quarrel had broken out, and 2 men struggled over the blood price for a kinsman just murdered. One declaimed in public, vowing payment in full. The other spurned him. He would not take a thing, so both men pressed for a judge to cut the knot. The crowd cheered on both. They both took sides, but heralds held them back as the city elders sat on polished stone benches, forming the sacred circle, grasping in hand the staffs of clear-voiced heralds, and each leapt to his feet to plead the case in turn. 2 bars of solid gold shone on the ground before them, a prize for the judge who'd speak the straightest verdict. I'm actually wondering if this is... Sorry, I'm trying to catch some of the details as we run through. Because I know there's the more kind of golden and nice version of this, but I'm pretty sure this is still supposed to be the Shield of Achilles. But circling the other city, camped a divided army, gleaming in battle gear, and 2 clans split their ranks to plunder the city and or share the riches with its people. Hordes of the handsome citadel stored within its depths. But the people were not surrendering, not at all. They armed for a raid, hoping to break the siege, loving wives and innocent children standing guard on the ramparts, flanked by elders bent with age, and as men marched out to war. Ares and Pallas led them, both burnished gold, golden attire they donned, and great, magnificent in their armor, gods for all the world looming up in their brilliance, towering over troops. And once they reached the perfect spot for attack, a watering place where all the herds collected, there they crouched, wrapped in glowing bronze. Detached from the ranks, 2 scouts took up their posts, the eyes of the army waiting to spot a convoy, the enemy's flocks and crook-horned cattle coming. Come they did, quickly, 2 shepherds behind them, playing their hearts out on their pipes. Treachery never crossed their minds. But the soldiers saw them, rushed them, cut off at a stroke the herds of oxen, and sleek sheep flocks glistening silver gray, and killed the herdsmen too. Now the besiegers, soon as they heard the uproar, burst from the cattle as they debated, huddled in council, mounted at once behind their racing teams, rode hard to the rescue, arrived at once, and lining up for assault, both armies battled it out among the river banks. They raked each other with hurtling bronze-tipped spears, and strife and havoc plunged in the fight in violent death, now seizing a man alive with fresh wounds, now one unhurt, now hauling dead men through the slaughter by their heels. The cloak on her back stained red with human blood. So they clashed and fought like living, breathing men, grappling each other's corpses, dragging off the dead. And he forged a fallow field, broad with rich ploughland, tilled for a third time, and across it crews of ploughmen wheeled their teams, driving them up and back, and soon, as they'd reach the end strip, moving in the turn, a man would run up quickly, and hand them a cup of honeyed mellow wine, as the crews would turn back along the furrows, pressing again to reach the end of the deep fallow field, and the earth churned back behind them like earth churning, solid gold as it was. That was the wonder of Hephaestus' works. It keeps going on from this, so there's a king's estate, thriving vineyard. Actually, maybe we've got 2 more pages of this. There's definitely the bulls mentioned here. Forged on the shield, a herd of longhorn cattle, working the bulls beaten in gold and tin, lowing loud and rumbling out from the farnyard dung to pasture along a rippling stream, along the swaying reeds, and the golden drovers kept the herd in line, 4 in all, with 9 dogs at their heels, their paws flickering quickly, a savage roar, a crashing attack, and a pair of ramping lions had seized the bull from the cattle's front ranks. He bellowed out as they dragged him off in agony. Packs of dogs and young herdsmen rushed to help, but the lions, ripping open the hide of a huge bull, were gulping down the guts and the black pooling blood, while the herdsmen yelled the fast pack on. No use. The hounds shrank from sinking teeth in the lions. They balked, hunching close, barking, and cringing away. So you can see a few of the items here. Again, I'm starting to doubt myself a little bit just because I'm missing some of the constellations, but it does seem like there's the wedding party, there's the sun and the moon that we were talking about before. But I am kind of curious because there is the if I've missed it here, then definitely this is the shield. And there's a couple things that I'd like to refer to in terms of this Iliad. Of course, I'm already potentially messing up if I've got the wrong shield. But yeah, I'll jump into the game reasonably quickly, but I did want to at least cover what I was up to on, like, to apparently lose me my transcodes, which annoys me. But also to, I don't know, just get a chance to kind of catch up with everybody. So I was in the UK starting basically Thursday of last week. I tried to do a couple of live videos, but I noticed that the Wi-Fi connection wasn't that great. I do have some video from the event, and I will be posting that, but it is going to take me some time to sort of edit everything together because I'm not really set up for editing on this computer, and my normal like editing stuff is it's on the Mac, but the Mac's not really working, and I'm not in a position to get a new laptop yet. So, yeah, and I will say actually the event was, so I was actually flown out for something. So basically, a company paid me to, well, not paid me, they paid for my ticket to kind of come out and record something for them. So that was very exciting. The event was incredible. I am really looking forward to sharing some of this stuff. But the thing is that I'm also a little worried. Like, I want to do it right because they did spend quite a bit of money to send me out. And again, like, I had a great time, but I do want to make sure that they are getting their money's worth. So no, it was not a Canadian bacon eating contest. You'll see. It's not something I really want to talk about until the videos are ready, but I think it'll be worth it. I think it's going to be fun to see. I'm trying to see if I can see the lions on this, or if we can see the lions and the dog. Yeah, maybe not. I think that's the wedding party though. Okay, but yeah, so that's why I haven't been around lately. I did want to try and do a stream on Wednesday, but the trip did go well. But I will say that one of the drawbacks is that because I was in the UK, which is 5 hours ahead, I kind of became like a late night person in the UK, which is weirdly apparently turned me into an early morning person in Canada. But like, so on Wednesday, what I wanted to do was just stream Industries of Titan. But the problem is that for like around 7 or 8 o'clock, I wind up just falling asleep and then like waking up at 5 or 6 in the morning, and it's a problem, especially because like I have the light on, like I want to do some reading and stuff like that. So I figured it's probably better for me to just go to work and like have a proper day at work with like feeling properly rested and and all of that. And one thing that I do kind of like is that I was able to, how do I put it? Like, so I fell behind a little bit on the writing. So there were a couple nights where I tried to do some writing, but I was just so exhausted from like all the recording and all the stuff that I was doing that I just needed to go to sleep. So the rule that I set for myself, because it was a bit of a special occasion, I said that as far as the writing is concerned, as long as I made it up, so like on the flight, do a half-hour writing in that, I'd still kind of count that towards the writing habit. Because like there were a couple of nights where I tried and I'd gone about like 2 or 3 minutes ready, and then like I'd wake up and I'd still see the timer running on on my watch, and it was just clear that I was so tired I was just not gonna get that done. So I'm more or less caught up on my writing. I need to do my writing tonight, but that's good. And as far as work is concerned, again, I'm not exactly looking forward to my review. I suspect even though I did a good job, it's going to be pretty mediocre. But I am feeling like I've got a bunch of stuff cleared out. I have a lot of projects that I'm going to be working on that relate to this time off. But as far as the stream is concerned, I'm basically going to be ready to have regular streams again Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm going to be doing the YouTube recording. I know it's been a while since there have been some uploads for that. And once I get the editing out of the way, I have 2 or 3 projects that I've really wanted to do, like, again, video-wise, that I want to do. And just generally I want to get kind of caught up on everything. So that's why I'm doing Total War Troy tonight, or a Total War Saga. This is a game, again, I quite like, but so I had like 2 or 3 games I was considering, and the problem with all of them was I felt like they were ones that would start me on a path to like having to finish the game. And this one, it's easy for me to say, is like, we're not going to actually finish this unless I can complete the campaign in one sitting. I'm just going to say we're going to get a chance to catch up with Troy, see how it's going. Oh, I'm going to be able to pick up my thing in a little bit. And we're just gonna enjoy a game that I think maybe gets a little underrated as far as the Troy game or the Total War games are concerned. So one thing that's kind of fun about this, what I'll do is I'll just kind of filibuster my way to basically get the break so I can pick up my stuff, and then we'll start properly. But there was a gamer bar in Ottawa where I sort of sat down and I said, like, what would be a really good idea for the Total War series? Like something set in the Bronze Age, because it's not really covered that much. We don't know a ton about the history, but like that's fine because you can use mythological elements, and the mythological elements kind of line up really well with line up really well with what they're doing with the series. So you've got, you've got Warhammer and its larger than life heroes. I said, Homer wouldn't be a bad setting for that. And to the credit, the owner actually remembered that conversation. So when Troy was announced, he was like, "You called it." And I'm like, well, that wasn't a prediction. That was just more like, this seems like a really good idea that sort of fits the direction that Total War has been going. And to a certain extent, I kind of suspect that Warhammer was more successful than maybe they were anticipating. So it feels like with Warhammer, like people cannot get enough DLC for that game. And honestly, it's very well done, right? Like I kind of imagine that Total War Warhammer is the game that like Games Workshop fans have wanted ever since they first played like a turn-based tabletop game. There's lots of weird factions. There's lots of different things to do. There's a lot of variety in the factions, which can sometimes make it very intimidating to get into. But then if you kind of take a look at the direction that the history stuff... Okay, my things are here. So tell you what, I'm going to take a second. I'm sorry to do this, but I'm actually going to run ads to see if that makes the stream a little bit more attractive to Twitch to give me my quality options. And then I'll finish the thought, and then I'll be back. So if you wanted to get some water or anything like that, now is the time. And then we'll jump into the game pretty quickly after that. I'm sorry to do this, but I really do want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to try and get this stupid quality options back. So we'll see you in a little bit. Oh, couldn't start an ad at this time. Is it because I'm too early in the... All right, I'm going. See you in a little bit. Okay, sorry about that. Hopefully, still no quality options. Hopefully that's going to be one of the last few. Now, this is purely, like, this is food that I got. It's pure junk food. But I am going to snack for a little bit, so sorry for chewing while going on, but I figured I can at least be back for the stream. So let me, I don't know, I'll do like a quarter of this thing and then we can set it. Oh, it was just dessert. So I made dinner, but I really wanted a dessert, so this is like waffles with Nutella on it. Oh, hell yes. I haven't had Nutella in like years. It is yummy. How you doing, Decree? Now, before I go too far, how many of you have read the Iliad? Or at least familiar with it? You all need library cards. How you doing, Ascanius? Read it in school along with the... Oh, the Aeneid. God, this thing is messy. Yeah, I read it on my own, although my great shame is that I have not yet read the Odyssey. So, you're okay. You're also familiar with the Iliad, but you never read through all of it. Bits and pieces and quotes and some reason, that's all. Well, it's also a tricky one to go through sometimes because, like, when you read the catalog of ships, it's kind of like certain parts of the New Testament. It's like, can you get on with this? I'm not sure what the relevance is. But for me, if you are looking to read the Iliad, again, the translation I quite like is Robert Fagel's, and you can get that from Penguin Classics. In fact, you can usually find it very inexpensively if you pick it up from a used bookstore. And one of the things I like the most is that Robert Fagel's translations are usually introduced by a classicist named Bernard Knox, who just seems to have this tremendous gift for reading the, the works that he's attached, like that he does the introduction to. Like he just has a level of insight that really makes those introductions worth reading. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, so the Odyssey seems to be the one that people are more familiar with, and I always wanted to read the Iliad before I read the Odyssey, but I never got around to the Odyssey. So that's definitely one I'm going to read, though, because I think it's actually, I may like the Odyssey more. But yeah, so like the thing is that Knox's introduction is long. So in my edition, it runs from page 3 to 64. So it's like 61 pages before you're even reading a word of Homer. Well, that's not entirely true. He quotes Homer inside of it. But I think he does an exceptionally good job of setting up the work, both in terms of the scholarship on it, but also just some observations about how, how much depth there is to the work if you look. And we'll probably talk about this as we go by, but yeah, I just found the section that I was looking for. So again, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the Iliad, but there's a couple things I wanted to highlight through the game. Now, I'd like to do the campaign. I have an idea about what I'd like to do, but I'm curious how chat feels about this. So the base game, when it was originally released, was Truth Behind the Myth. So experience the Iliad epic through the lenses of the truth behind the myth. Heroes charge into battle as single entities inspired by their heroic feats. The gods of Olympus bestow passive support in battle and grant access to unique units. Mythic units are interpretations of legend, such as the Minotaur, a mighty bandit king with a bull's skull helmet. Now, with the Mythos DLC, which I do have installed, you can open up the mythological version, which is embrace the legends and dive into a mythic total war experience. The gods of Olympus take an active part in the conflict and provide unique godlike battle abilities. Creatures of myth enter battles such as swift centaurs, flying harpies, and the mighty Minotaur. Embarked on an expedition in search of mythic monsters to recruit in your armies, heroes charge into battle as single entities inspired by their heroic feats. So a little bit more like Total War Warhammer. And then finally, historical was also added, and in this case, a traditional grounded in reality Total War experience. Heroes charge into battle accompanied by a unit of capable bodyguards. Praying to the gods of Olympus results in passive effects tailored to historical reality, and all units are grounded in reality, so you don't even have the legendary units. Now, I prefer Truth Behind the Myth. I think a lot of people tend to go for mythological, but is everybody okay with Truth Behind the Myth? I just think this is a little more original, whereas these you can get in other Total War games. All right, so we can go for the Danaans, the Trojans, or the Amazons. I think I'm going to go for the Danaans. I actually have a pretty good idea who I want to play. So our options are Achilles, swift-footed Achilles, legendary hero of the Iliad and leader of the Myrmidons. He is the mightiest warrior the world has ever known. Odysseus, shrewd and resourceful Odysseus, ruler of Ithaca, is a trusted advisor to the kings of Achaia and a brilliant diplomat. He prefers subterfuge and guerrilla tactics to defeat his opponents. Agamemnon, king of Mycenae. As the war against the Trojans starts to gain momentum, godlike Agamemnon rallies the many disparate Achaean kingdoms against Troy, determined to raze the fabled city to the ground. Menaleus, king of Sparta. Although his best days on the battlefield are already behind him as the Trojan War heats up, Menelaus nevertheless joins his brother's alliance, determined to return Helen to Sparta. Ajax. Ajax the Great, bulwark of the Achaeans, is a fearsome and cunning defender whose prowess in battle is unrivaled across the Aegean Sea. And then Diomedes, king of Argos, an accomplished battle commander despite his young age. Diomedes is Athena's favorite and the sharpest military mind to enter the fray against Troy. Now, I'm most inclined towards Diomedes. I will just mention here the options for the Trojans are Hector, Prince of Troy, Paris, who stole Helen and started this whole trouble, Aeneas, which I believe it was Ascanius. This is the subject of the Aeneid. Sarpedon, Rhesus, who's in the most recent DLC, and then Memnon. And then if you want, there are the Amazons, so Hippolyta and is it Penthelia? Sorry, not good at the names. But yeah, I'm gonna do Diomedes.
Goddess of war, stand by me.
Now, what's kind of neat about this one is that you have different, so you get different sort of abilities and such. So one thing I'll point out about Achilles is that there's hot-blooded Achilles. So your emotions control you and affect your entire faction. So you can be outraged, grieving, and indignant, which of course is consistent with the Iliad, right? You know, he spends like the first 10 books or so sulking in his tent. So whoever has the biggest shield, so you want Ajax?
A man of my word.
So Ajax roster relies on slow but very heavily equipped defensive infantry to hold the line, while his powerful missile units take advantage of protected positions. Boring. Yeah, I liked Diomedes.
Of the loud war cry.
He's got the loud war cry. So he gets sort of specialized units that you can trade. And then there's a couple of ways that you can sort of bend factions to your will. I actually don't do it that well. but I can practice. So recommended playstyle, Diomedes' roster is specialized in crushing attacks as well as well-rounded axe and sword infantry combined with quick flanking units from surprising locations. The legendary Diomedes was renowned as one of the deadliest and most cunning military commanders to enter the fray against Troy. A seasoned veteran despite his young age, he has already participated in more battles than his peers at the onset of the Trojan War. A paragon of heroic virtues, he was the goddess Athena's favorite and possessed of such skill in the battle that he was said to have wounded Ares himself. Diomedes slipped inside the walls of Troy with Odysseus to steal the Palladium, and was one of the handful of warriors who hid inside the Trojan horse to bring about the impregnable city's downfall. Athena granted him immortality after his death. So, son of Tydeus and, is it Dipyle? Favor of Athena, +1 per turn, and +6% charge for all units. So, the special abilities he gets Argos' Finest. As one of the Epigoni, Diomedes can call on his companions, veterans known as the Strategos, or Strategos maybe, to train troops for him. Any Strategos aligned with Argos can train Paragon units, granting them an additional edge in battle. Once training is complete, the Paragon unit can be recruited and a new one trained. And then Master Strategist, Diomedes' legendary strategic mind allows him to dominate other factions in battle, then bullying them into doing his bidding. Completing special military objectives against enemies grants Argos a unique resource known as Dominance. By spending Dominance, Diomedes can intimidate less powerful rulers into entering clearly unfavorable diplomatic agreements. So I don't get the Archer Skirmisher and Archer Trickster, but I do have the option for the Defender, an extremely hardy spearman capable of surviving an enemy's onslaught. Defender Companion, a tough yet noble spearman dedicated to supporting the units under his command. Defender Veteran, a resilient warrior who can deal death easily with his spear. Fighter Champion, a swordsman capable of carrying out and surviving all manner of attacks. Fighter Ravager, a swordsman who excels at disrupting enemy unit formations. And Fighter Vanquisher, a swordsman who tends to ignore peril in order to deliver the killing blow. Finally, Warlord Mentor, not only a commander but an expert at managing territories. Warlord Commander, specialized in improving unit performance in battle. And Warlord Warmonger, capable of both strengthening friendly units and enfeebling their enemies. So we're going to jump in and just see how all this works. I'm just going to play on normal for all of these. And, victory conditions. So for Total War victory, defeat your first antagonist faction, control the following 3 settlements by direct ownership or through vassals or military allies, Troy, Messene, and Knossos, and then occupy, raise, or sack 100 different settlements. For Homeric victory, complete all the steps of your hero's epic mission. Make sure the following factions are destroyed or confederated: Hector, Paris, and Troy itself. Have at least 600 favor of Athena, and maintain 7 Paragon units in your army. Neither of these will finish for us, but time for another cutscene.
Are we mere playthings of the gods? Or do we plead divine influence to justify our foolish choices?
He's taken her! He's taken my wife!
You've risked the safety of Troy.
Troy is my home now.
You have my oath, brother. She will be returned to you. Brother, I can fight. Go, seek shelter. There'll be plenty of fighting ahead.
Helen's flight was a grave wound to Achaean pride. King Menaleus will have his revenge. And his brother will have his war with Troy, just as the gods intended.
Diomedes, son of Tydeus, prays to Athena to guide his Argive men to glory.
O Diomedes, chosen of Zeus, will you rise to the challenge of the coming war?
Brother, your foolish passion has doomed us.
Ancient Argos has already reached new heights under your rule, and your capital is second only to Mycenae itself in wealth and prestige.
Warriors of Argos, our time has come.
The Corinthians, eternal enemies of the Argives, have boldly taken Erchomenus. Now they dare to advance on Argos itself. Defeat them to remove this threat to Achaea and bring stability to your lands. The shadow of your father, King Tydeus, still hangs over you. His ill-fated mission to conquer Thebes ended in disaster and death. You have already taken revenge upon the city in his name, but now rumors abound that an ill wind blows around Thebes. With wisdom and courage beyond your years, it is time for you to surpass even your father's achievements.
So, I think this is a gorgeous game. I like that Homer is the tutorial. So I think we already did... maybe not. We'll read this out again. Argos, Argos' finest. Diomedes knows that wars are won foremost through preparation. For this purpose, he may call on the Epigonii, sons of the legendary Seven, against Thebes, also known as the Strategos. These battle-hardened teachers can train select soldiers into skilled paragons, which Diomedes can then recruit into his armies. Master strategist, Diomedes does not conceive of conquest as the mere sum of victories to him. Triumph demands that he break the enemy utterly. By completing tactical objectives against rival factions, Diomedes can demonstrate his utter dominance and then can leverage his reputation to intimidate weaker rivals into entering unfavorable diplomatic agreements. Paragon warriors. Ajax and Diomedes can bolster their respective armies with paragons, mightier versions of regular soldiers who march into battle under the leadership of a seasoned commander. Ajax can rally paragons by defeating them in mock combat, while Diomedes must rely on the Strategos to train them for him. Now, before we go... lead the charge, defeat an enemy army belonging to the Corinthians. The enemy has gathered before you and is vulnerable to a swift offensive. Now is the time to strike. Order your men to attack and defeat the opposing force. May the gods of war, Athena and Ares, grant you victory and honor in battle. This rewards us food and bronze. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to do Truth Behind the Myth because I think one thing I have a ton of respect for in this game is the level of attention that they paid to the underlying work. So there's a few just nice little touches, right? So for the map here, you can kind of see the... Excuse me. You can sort of see the paper parts burn away, and you get to see just this, wonderful rendering of the land and the sea. I mean, like this just looks great, right? When you go to the mythic version, you actually see all of the different sort of... Like when you go to Olympus, it really looks like a place where gods live. But one of the other things that I love is that when you zoom in and you look at the background, it looks kind of like a... it looks like Greek pottery, right? I do really like this little touch here in terms of the way that it looks. And I mean, just the models and all of that, look great. Of course, we'll see these people on the battlefield, so maybe that, we don't need to focus on the large people on the map, as Algrin's pointed out. But that's not really the detail that I'm talking about here. The detail that interests me is how they paid attention not just to the plot, but there's actually some really specific details that they've pulled out, which if they haven't read Nox's introduction, at the very least, they very clearly read the introduction. So this is going to be from Nox's introduction again. If you want this, usually if you get the translation by Robert Fagles, and again, I'm using a Penguin Classics, but I know there's a couple of other ones that you can get which have Robert Fagles. I believe Nox's introduction basically kind of comes with it. But this would be from me on page 38. This is what he has to say about the gods. The subject of the poem is the rage of Achilles against Agamemnon, a human passion, but the prologue speaks also of gods. What god drove them to fight with such fury? Apollo, the son of Zeus and Leto. Book 1, lines 9 through 10. A few lines earlier, we are told that heroes fell in battle. The will of Zeus was moving toward its end. 1:6. Are the events of the poem the creation of the will of Zeus and Apollo, or of the will of Achilles? To what extent is Achilles a free and responsible agent? It is a question raised by many other passages in the poem, as gods inspire, restrain, terrify, or rescue individual heroes. How far can men whose actions so often seem to be the product of direct divine intervention be held responsible? Is there, in fact, in Homer any fully formed concept of free and responsible human action? It would seem at first that the answer were no. In the quarrel in Book 1, Achilles refrains from killing Agamemnon on the spot because Athena grasps him by the hair and forbids it. But a closer look at this and similar passages where human action is prompted by divine suggestion reveals that the Homeric conception of divine interference is an extremely subtle one. Athena seizes Achilles by the hair just as he draws his sword, but we have been told that before he drew it, he had considered the alternative. And he quotes Homer here. Should he draw the long, sharp sword slung at his hip, thrust it through the ranks and kill Agamemnon now, or check his rage and beat his fury down? As his racing spirit veered back and forth, just as he drew his huge blade from his sheath, down from the vaunting heavens swept Athena. Book 1, 224-29. She comes, as it were, to the representation of the more cautious course he had considered to urge its claims, and it is remarkable that she uses language not of command but of persuasion. Down from the skies I come to check your rage, if only you will yield. Book 1, 242-243. The Greek word here translated yield, I'm going to mispronounce it, but pathei, is actually a form of the verb pytho, to persuade. There's a correlation here between divine intervention and independent human action. They seem to work together, or rather they seem to be the same thing viewed from two different angles. There are, of course, passages in the Iliad where man comes to a decision, choosing between alternatives with no divine suggestion or intervention at all. We see Odysseus in the thick of battle, his flanks threatened, debate with himself whether to run for it or to fight on. He comes to the conclusion that he must stay and fight. His impulse to run is countered by his fear of being thought a coward. The warrior code asserts its authority even in the face of almost certain death. Book 11, 477-86. But this is a free decision, as Homer makes clear when later he puts Menaleus in the same position, gives him many of the same formulas of debate for and against retreat, and he has him come to the opposite conclusion. He withdraws from the battle, Book 17, 101-21. Usually, however, important human decisions involve the participation of a god. Divine intervention and human responsibility coexist. So there's more in this section, but from the introductory cinematic, what I like about this, right, is that this game comes right out and essentially makes the point that Knox is making in the introduction. Again, Knox is a very, I feel like, a very well-known classicist, and someone who will basically read and get more out of these works than I think you and I ever will. So, again, when it says, are we the playthings of the gods, or do we just use divine intervention as an excuse for something we were going to do already? What that cinematic, what that cutscene is doing is it is actually communicating a fairly subtle point in this ancient poem. And I think there's, again, like I said, there's a lot of respect that I have for Creative Assembly going this way. So if you're going to be doing a game about the Iliad, you know, you can go like the Wolfgang Peterson movie did, which is to not, like, I don't know, like it really didn't feel all that interesting. And it doesn't really actually seem to be much of an Iliad, to be honest. Like, it kind of has, like, it has some plot details, but, like, I don't know, like, there's more to it than just the plot, right? And, but I mean, this is a war game, so you could actually get away without necessarily doing a lot of the story or without engaging with some of the artsy-fartsy parts. But I really do like the fact that they really did seem to sit down and study the source material and make a game that rings true, not just in terms of gameplay and how they sort of realize things inside the book or the poem, I guess. We read poems in books, so. But I like the fact that they did something that rings true to the source material while still being a really good game. So, again, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that sort of stuff, but it is a detail that I wanted to highlight because, again, if you haven't read Nox's introduction, at least for me, that's a detail that isn't necessarily going to be obvious from just a single reading, which is probably what most people are going to experience. But man, is it a great way to just enhance your enjoyment of a work like that. This is why I recommend if you do get a chance to read a classic, and there's an option for one with an introduction by Bernard Knox. I believe he's dead now, unfortunately, so no more new ones. But I know he's done. I'm pretty sure he's done. So Fagles has done translations of the Iliad, the Odyssey. He's done a translation of Sophocles, but I don't think that has an introduction from Bernard Knox for it. I may be wrong on that. And then I know Knox did an introduction for, I think it was Charles Martin's translation of Ovid's Metamorphoses. I'm pretty sure it is. Anyways, it was the one that I first read, and again, a lot of very insightful observations about the poem. But we are here for some Total War, so we're going to be going up against Iscus. So this is usually in Total War, there's an obvious target for you to attack, and in this case there was the Lead the Charge mission. So really what we're going to do here is we're going to try and take out this Corinthian army. We don't really have information about what they're fielding, but the aim here is going to be to attack this unit and then hopefully to be able to move straight to an attack on the settlement. So what we want to do here is we don't just want to take these guys out, we want to take them out in a way that makes sure that our numbers aren't too depleted.
Get in there.
No god is on your side. All right. So again, also because it's something of a tutorial battle, the enemy isn't as strong. So we're attacking the Corinthians. This is balance of power. The greater proportion of yellow on this bar, the greater the military superiority your army has over your opponent, and vice versa. So we outnumber them. Now they do have some meaningful units here, right? There's a lot of shields, so that's not gonna that's gonna help them defend against the slingers. They also have slingers on their own, so my young spears are going to be in danger, as will the Argive raiders. So, you know, again, it's not particularly difficult to handle, but I guess the one thing that I would say is that, especially because I'm not very good at the Total War games, it doesn't hurt for me to take a minute here and think a bit about how I'm going to deal with the enemy. So this unit here, light, it's flanking and a shielded unit. This is medium, it's frontline, doesn't have a very good pour attack, but it's sort of designed to sort of hold me in place and take me out. And then finally they've got slingers, which are probably going to want to keep far away. So low armor piercing damage. So essentially, if I can, it would be better to have my armored and shielded units moving against these guys. So what do I have? Well, I've got axe and shield infantry. They're medium, good attack, and shielded. I also have spearmen, so same as what the enemy has. Now, the two-handed axe infantry, they're light, good charge, excellent armor-piercing damage, and vanguard deployment, so I get to move them ahead. So in this case, they'd be quite good against these units. Finally, two-handed spear infantry, so light, poor defense, weak versus missiles, but good charge. And then, of course, the sling infantry. Now, I know for some of these units, there's a bonus against certain types of... there's a bonus against certain types of unit. Okay, so spearmen get a bonus versus axemen. And swordsmen. Huh. All right, then. Okay. I'm the attacker, so I get to decide the conditions. For me, it's better to have sort of dry, still weather. So we'll start deployment. And again, gorgeous looking game. Makes you want to visit Greece. Okay, so one of the things that I want to do here... Oh, Jesus, what happened here? Okay, so I want to try and take advantage of that Vanguard deployment. So if you're not familiar with the Total War games, you do get the option of, if you have Vanguard deployment, you do get to put people in sort of the white area if they've got Vanguard deployment. Now there's a couple things I'd like to do if I can. So with this Axe unit, they do get to kind of hide in the grass, provided the enemy isn't too close. Now, this is a pretty risky proposition. So the good news is, if this works, I get to have them right up close to the enemy. And if all the enemies in the area, these guys really have nowhere to run. The catch is that there aren't a lot of other good places for me to hide with them, right? This is muddy, so this is going to take a long time for me to traverse. If I try to go into the woods, I'm going to reveal my position and then move up. Essentially what I want to do here is I'm going to take the rest of my force. So we'll take the spears. Basically going to move everyone in one big column. And then we'll spread out my... Actually, I can get the slingers all move on their own. All right. What do you mean, what sort of deployment, Vanguard Master? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to group these folks together so that they move as one unit. Again, the idea here is that the spearmen should be absorbing whatever attacks are coming after them. Now, what I normally do, I do try to do these battles in real time because I need to get better at this sort of thing. Oh, sorry. Now I'm getting it, Vanguard Master. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the slow motion just so I can give the orders to begin with. And then following that, we'll try and do things in real time just so I can think a little bit about... we just think a little bit about how the... sorry. I'm going to go slow motion just so I can give the initial orders, and then we'll go to normal speed and just sort of see how we can handle the battle by thinking on our feet. So... Okay, so the good news is we don't see the enemy where... we don't see the enemy kind of in the same spot as where the Argive Raiders are. So the most likely case is that they're all just hiding in the woods here, which is a little unfortunate for me because it means that they're going to kind of throw missiles at me while we make the move on them. But that's fine. Actually, one thing I might want to do... So I think basically my missile units are going to be pretty ineffective. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm walking everyone. And the reason I'm walking them is just because I'm the attacker, so I need to make the move on the enemy. But what I would do here is I would speed up normally. But one thing I do want to show is just, this is, again, I always kind of imagine the way that you pitch Total War is that basically it's like the battle scenes from Lord of the Rings, the video game. There's a lot of variety in all of the different units. And then, of course, when they start fighting each other, you'll be able to see all the details. But for now... So actually, it's worth mentioning, if the timer runs out, the AI wins because it's the defenders. So we do have to make the first move. One thing I'm also going to do is I'm going to make sure that the slingers hold back, because I think we're gonna have to wait a little bit for the main column. So in this case, we'll just halt. I could have played things at normal speed, but again, we want to speed it up because I want to walk people to the the region. I think in all the Total War games they recommend that you walk where possible because tired units obviously are not as effective at fighting. Okay, so we already see the presence of an enemy unit. So one thing that's kind of nice about this game is if you hit the space bar, it's actually going to let you know what your chances are against a unit. So in this case here, the Argive Raiders are not going to have a good time against Iscus. For that, I probably want to bring Diomedes in. But I'm not quite ready to bring everyone, into the fight yet. So again, we'll speed things up. The enemy may betray its position by throwing sling. Oh, okay. Yep. So that's working out. So normally what I do is I take this unit and run them in. What we're going to do here is we're just going to slightly change the direction. Okay. These guys definitely need to run. Actually, you know what? Let's just... Definitely want to get the people who are weak to missiles in the woods.
Your warriors have spotted hidden foes.
Okay. Okay, so now we want to move these guys in.
Your hero is under attack.
Count on me.
So here we're going to try and get the flanking bonus. And I want to take these axemen and do the same thing. So notice that their morale's already getting broken because they were attacked from behind. And I should have done this before. Might of Athena. And let's get the slingers to clean up these units. So one thing we also want to do is make sure that we wipe out... Ooh, these guys definitely took in the neck. So the other thing we want to do is make sure that we mop up the enemy really quickly. Or completely, not quickly. Because the last thing I want to do is chase them across the map. I want to take all my units and use them to wipe out the enemies. So let's just make sure we distribute the... Maybe a lost cause to try and sling them, but we'll do our best. I realize most of that battle happened inside the woods, so it's not that exciting, but I guess we get to watch all the bloody mess.
Hades has claimed the enemy here.
Okay, that's good news. Let's get Diomedes running after another unit. So, great little details like this, like seeing all the blood on the grass, definitely makes it worth it. I have no idea if we're going to be able to wipe these guys out. There's only 14 left, but again, I still want to make sure the numbers go as low as possible. Oh, this is shameful. It's probably too late, but... Two skills. Some games, see that mountain? You can go there. Total War, see that bloody warrior? You can zoom in and count the cuts there. So, let's see. There's his head. All right. I think basically that's everyone. So now it makes a little more sense for us to fast forward. I think in this case here, we're just going to watch the last of the slingers get away. Well, maybe we got one more. Yeah. Decisive victory! You are victorious. The corpses of the enemy litter the ground, and those still able to flee do so with the laughter of our gods ringing in their ears. See, now one thing I really liked about Total War is that if you have blood in a river, you actually get to see it sort of clear out. But anyways, so we got food and experience for that. If we want to replenish our numbers, we can take them on. We could get another 211 food. I think in this case we'll take them on. It seems to me just as easy to replenish my my numbers for the siege. And we get our food and probably the ability to get a new ability. The number of men you command will need to grow in order to meet the challenges ahead. Recruit more combat units to swell the ranks of your armies. Units may be recruited by selecting a controlled army and clicking the Recruit Unit button. Now, we need to own the province before we do that, so we will, again, siege, but unaside skill point. So, let's think about what we're going to do to improve Diomedes. We could seize the moment, extra hit points, and the enemy will get minus 50% melee defense. Alternatively, assault and battery. This is self, and we get 60% armor piercing damage. So let's debuff the enemy. Seems like a slightly better option.
Athena was with us.
Now, if this has walls, this is going to be a little more complicated. Nope. So more meaningful numbers here. They've got islanders, so in this case, they're going to be a little bit. They're going to have an easier time surviving the slingers. Sorry, just a second. The archers are probably the ones I'm most concerned about because they have a longer range than the slingers, so they can chew them up pretty easily. And then there are renowned slingers, so this is a medium slinger, which means it has higher armor. And of course, most importantly, we're outnumbered. But I think we can still make this work. This may be an interesting gambit, right? It does limit my range, but I only have the one. Can only have the one ranged unit, so presumably this helps me with the. This helps me with the archers. Let's just get a quick look at the battlefield and see what's going on here. So I guess it kind of depends where the enemy wants to make their stand. One thing I am slightly inclined to do is just kind of charge over the river and try and take advantage of the woods here. I suspect they're going to want to hold on this hill, seeing as we'd be fighting uphill. Now, the other alternative I have is I can move up through these trees. This is actually a little bit more attractive now that I think of it, because we can still access the hill, but we've got the tree cover for longer. So I'm going to do the same setup that I had before. We're going to put the spears in front, then the axemen, Diomedes for the morale. That's one big group. Now for the vanguard unit, that's a little bit harder. Presumably I can't, yeah, I can't put them in the enemy territory. Stick them in the woods here. Again, it's a little bit of a danger, but okay, well, we definitely know where the enemy is. So I'll move them up through the woods. Hopefully they don't see me. So in terms of how I want to approach this, it would be great if I could take the Argive Raiders and just rush the Renowned Slingers, but I know as soon as I do that, everybody's going to come pile on me, so we'll see whether or not they find my units as we move closer towards them. But I definitely want the Raiders to go and eat up the Slingers. Okay, they spotted. I'm in a bit of trouble if they spot these guys. They're definitely close. Once we get to the edge of the woods here, what I think I'm going to do is take my slingers out and start getting them to throw stuff at an enemy. It doesn't even really matter which one, maybe the light spearmen, just to soften them up for a bit. Okay.
That works. All good. In good order.
So again, I'm not in any rush. Trying to keep my units reasonably healthy. Ooh.
The foe has sighted your hidden units.
Okay, not good. Actually, you know what? Not the unit I want to be going after. So these guys are going to have a really hard time of it, but we're just going to try and get there as soon as we can. No, that was the wrong call.
Your warriors are losing heart.
All right. I don't think they're going to run the place where I need them to. This is a bit of a mess. It's 20 Argive raiders that I'm going to need to
Your
recover.
hero is under attack.
Stand tall and die with dignity. Your words mean nothing.
So the big problem here, right, is that their missile units are completely free to just chew up my young spears. So what I'm hoping for here is that this unit breaks so that we can give them some assistance up on this end. But I'm also going to need to help these guys out pretty soon. The good news is that when you take out a settlement, you know that the enemy is going to get wiped out. So I wouldn't be surprised if this unit breaks pretty quickly. Yeah, so this is a mess, but
Your warriors have been routed.
My skill is unsurpassed. Don't hold back! Diomedes!
Foes beware.
Masters of war! Awaiting orders! Ready for war!
Victory is close enough to taste.
so clearly it was a mistake to try and have these guys solo the enemy army. Like, there was no way I was going to get them in tough, but
I serve Ikea! Great courage! Hungry for blood! Attack!
Your warriors are rallying.
all right, what have we got here?
Foes beware!
All right, this one I think we're just going to end it. So that counted as a close victory. It shouldn't have been. I could presumably reload it, but let's try and acknowledge my mistakes and learn how to recover from them. So apparently there's only 8 left. So what I would normally do is something like a loot and occupy so that I could get the unit replenishment, but I actually want to keep this settlement in my territory, so we're just going to occupy it. There will be some replenishment. I think it also said I had the option, or well, let's just see. So we have a royal decree, commandment. Okay. So royal decrees are a nice little way for you to get resources that you don't have. So for instance, you could do royal stone. This will give me 80 stone per turn, and I don't really have access to stone. One thing I could do is go to the strategic map, take a quick look at regions that have stone. So it looks here like this region has stone. Now, we're not necessarily on bad terms with them, so it's maybe not obvious that we're going to be able to plunder their stone. It does seem to me like I don't have a lot of obvious places to get that, so it's either here or here. These folks have a dimmer view of me, so I may want to, take Ionia. But again, that's going to take a while. Stone is important for as you might imagine, is important for building buildings. So,
I serve with honor.
it may not hurt to do the decree that gets me stone. Public service will get me additional growth, which allows me to, grow faster. Royal recruits will reduce recruitment costs. And then treasure hall will get me gold. I think I'm actually going to go for the stone. It's 8 turns, which, you know what? No, 4 turns for growth is really tempting. Okay, let's recruit. So I do like the slinger unit.
I'll see to it.
I guess the question is, how much of a front line do I want compared to slingers? Let's get 2 more of the spearmen. especially given that we're chopping up our raiders. We're pretty much going to want to go straight to Corinth, so anything I can do to keep those guys back and recovering is best. Okay, so Argolis, we've got a commandment. Normally what I like doing here is organize games, so the happiness isn't as important to me as the growth. And then the other thing to consider is just what buildings I want to build. So in this case, I kind of want to save up for the smelter's house. This will get me additional bronze. I'm already building... Oh, hang on. Got apprentice armorer, but maybe that's not what I want because there's a cost associated with it. So I think I'm going to build the tin trader instead, and then we'll demolish that building. I'm okay having the Feroctria. Prearranged signal cuts through the night to warn of imminent danger. So this, if I upgrade it, will get me light spearmen and argive swordsman. This unit I want to have in my this building I want to have in my capital because at tier 5 it gets me higher level units. And then I guess the question is... So one of the things that I usually do here is I take a look at all the different buildings that are available. Let's see, I guess we do the building browser. Okay, so for special buildings, we've got 2 special buildings here. So that would be 2 slots taken up. Buildings that can go to level 5, we've got 2 of those. So that's 4 buildings spoken of. The capital buildings, so that's 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And theoretically temples, but let's not go too crazy. Oh, sorry, I should think of 4s as well. Okay, so if I was thinking of like things that get me military units, so 1, 2, or specials, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That really only leaves... really only leaves 1 more free slot, which the Crier's Square already takes up. But I do actually think that that's a useful upgrade. I don't know, maybe I'll change my mind in terms of wanting to go for all of these things. So like, maybe I don't want the chariot, right? Or maybe I don't want the armory. Maybe I'm happy with the royal barracks. Or perhaps the strategic camp or Diomedes' retinue isn't as important for me. Clearly it's going to be a while before I build those though, so I don't need to worry too much about that now. So I suppose the next question would be, out of what I can currently build, is there anything that I want to get? Interesting. So this is excellent missile damage, but when I'm taking a look at the damage here... Oh no, here we go. 19, 27, 45. Okay. So yeah, the armored argive slingers do actually have a pretty vicious attack. So this is a good building to upgrade. Okay, well, we're just not going to build anything there, I think, is the easy answer. Oh, interesting. They're going for my capital. So an attack or a battle on the battlefield is appealing because then I can replenish units. Whereas an attack on a settlement is appealing because that's just another settlement for me to claim. I think what this will boil down to... Oh, King's Decree, issue a royal decree. Your people are eager to follow your orders, for it is through your wisdom that they will flourish. Issue a royal decree, and they will be put to work. Now, it did just occur to me, I should have been using Argos's finest, because I can get fancy spearmen as a result. So, Polydorus will give battlefield healing, 30 morale to Paragon units, and 50% weapon damage. Or 60% charge, strong vigor, and 20 to battle speed. So I think this is a little bit more consistent with endurance. So we'll start training them. Strategos has begun instructing one of your units in advanced military tactics. Once training is complete, you will be able to recruit a Paragon version of this unit from the special recruitment panel. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to catch them on the one turn, so let's just move on to the next settlement. It's not my favorite choice, but it is, like, it's the most practical available to me.
Cut them down.
Okay. So again, another tough group, and I don't know if I'm going to want to put the raiders in danger, but let's see if we can pull this off. This one I'm going to want to try and whittle down the enemy a little bit more. I guess another thing I can try and do is force the issue by taking the building, but so I suppose the nice thing here is that if they're going to try turtling, then I suppose I get to dictate the battle. It's like basically, like, if they keep spearmen sort of on the edge, then I can just take my slingers and keep throwing stuff at them until I run out of ammo. Now, the mud here complicates things. Okay, so they apparently are visible in this spot. I thought the tall grass might help them. All right. This doesn't really get me a lot of information, but like I said, I kind of want to keep these guys safe so that I can replenish their numbers. The good news is we have something a little more robust for the front line. So normally I wouldn't put the slingers this far back, but they do have archers, so it wouldn't hurt to have my shields absorbing some of that. So kind of the same idea as before. We're just going to walk up as close as we can to their lines, get an idea of what we're up against. The hope is that the archers aren't going to be anywhere near us, so then we can just sort of use the slingers to sort of weaken the units, and then we mop up. But again, we have to see what the battle brings us. Okay, so slingers there. Well, yeah, actually, I guess the good news is that it doesn't seem like the archers are all that close. So here's what we're going to do. We'll move up nice and close.
I will. Slingers ready.
We've got everybody locked in the same position, so... Now, the ideal would be to use the slingers on these young spears. In this case, the light spearmen... Well, the light spearmen don't have shields. I think they have better armor, so 35 compared to the light... Yeah, the young spears, which are 10. But this is still something I can work with. In fact, I'm gonna run these slingers out ahead. So they're gonna get kind of hit by the renowned slingers, and probably they will move the bowmen in on me. But I want to see if we can maybe inconvenience the spearmen for a bit. If I have an opportunity to move these units... Actually... It's a bit of a risky move. We'll have to watch them, but... Okay, so they're changing it up. Okay. Archers aren't doing anything. That's interesting to me.
No mercy! Wipe them out! Lethal at range!
So again, the aim here is to just try and use the slingers as much as possible. Now my own slingers are under a bit of threat, so I'm going to move them off to the side like so.
Strike hard!
As long as they keep going after the units that have shields,
Go at them!
I feel a little bit better about that. Okay, now they're moving young spears. Ooh. Yeah, we got to get our guys out of there. I didn't appreciate that there were 2 units of archers. I'm tempted to just run them up, honestly, but
Make your peace! Sling!
yeah, these guys are actually getting chomped up a bit.
To glory! Onward, warriors! Destroy the foe! You will not be missed! Feel free to taunt for the Achaeans! Down! At your command! Slinger fire! Diomedes! Eviscerate them!
I'm not quite sure why they're... Oh, right, because I told them to.
Hold back!
Your hero is under attack.
So I think what we're going to do, just to change things up, we will... I have to have at least 1 unit chase these guys down here, but I think we're just going to go for the objective.
I hope you're not expecting mercy. Words draw no blood. Hungry for glory! Advance, men! Drop formation! Great courage! For victory! Sons of Achaea!
Okay, now these guys should be able to move in on the renowned slingers.
Axes! Move up!
I would have preferred the young spears to take this, but I gotta kind of take what I've been given.
At your command! Forward we go! Forward march! Spears! Onward, warriors! Ready to serve! Sons of Achaea! For the Achaeans! On the move!
That's not how I want you to move.
Spears! Foes beware! Massacre them! Spears!
So one problem with this move
Diomedes! I
is that if your shields aren't facing what's attacking you, then it's like they don't exist.
Sons of Achaea!
You will soon hold the enemy's victory point.
Let's see blood! I serve Achaea! Axes! Slings prepare!
Let's again try to soften them up where we can. Alright, now we're losing that fight, so maybe we'll reinforce with the slingers. And we're getting pummeled by the slingers unexpectedly, so... Obviously I bit off more than I can chew.
Masters of war!
Your warriors are losing heart.
Yikes!
Diomedes! At your command!
I would not have expected that result. So fortunately these guys are running now. We're still losing that. Jesus! Why are we getting our asses kicked?
Spears! Attack! Don't hold back! Onward! Destroy the foe! Awaiting order.
This is costing me a lot of units, so I may have to hold back on further conquest. Yeah, I hate running like this, but I don't think I have an option.
Your warriors have been routed.
Well, that's not exactly a surprise. Yeah, I don't see how we conquer with an army like this. This is one of these times I'd be willing to... I'm going to do concede defeat here just so I can do a rematch. So, I will confess I'm a little confused as to why some of these trade-offs... Okay, hang on. So these weren't islanders. So that was a somewhat elite unit. That makes sense there. I'm a little surprised that those renowned slingers were able to batter my spearmen, though. So we're going to do the same formation, but I'm going to try to be a little more careful with my units. I'm actually going to bring the slingers up front. That wasn't necessarily bad for us. So this part stays the same.
I serve Ikea. All good. Slingers ready. Form up. Strike hard.
So again, we'll move these guys up. Try and absorb whatever damage from the...
I concur.
I think in this case we're just going to say the slingers are expendable and we throw whatever we can at the deserving. So basically I want to avoid... Okay, so yeah, archers are slinging things my way here, so... Okay, these are the club warriors I thought we were going after. Okay, interesting. So these guys count... These light spearmen are too tough for my existing spearmen. But the axes can handle them.
Massacre them. Bring death. Menaleus, you will be missed.
Olaf! Yes, and I've lost my transcodes because apparently I was truant for too long. Thank you very much for resubscribing, Olaf. For those of you who do not know him, well, let the Ark of the Covenant do its thing first.
Honor and courage. Access to arms. Eviscerate them.
Okay, so this is pretty good for wiping out this unit. I'm pretty happy with how that's going. These guys are currently losing. That I don't feel as good about. So I'm going to wait for the seize the moment.
Your hero is under attack.
Change my mind. Okay, good. We're pulling ahead.
Ready for war.
So, Algrins, thank you very much for resubscribing as well. I wanted to mention Olaf simply because I was in the UK and he was a real gentleman about the fact that I sort of blew it in terms of keeping in touch. I said that I was going to get in touch with him, and I genuinely thought that I sent off a Twitter message, but I did notice that while that was probably true, that I at least entered a Twitter message, it definitely didn't send. And it turns out that I was close enough. Oh, drat. Okay, I was really hoping that we would have been able to make something of that. Okay, so let's move to the capture point. But yeah, he was a real gentleman about the fact that I kind of blew it in terms of setting up a meeting, and on top of the fact that he's been a very sort of long-standing and I don't want to say loyal, because that sort of makes it seem it's like, oh, disloyal to the stream, are you? Banished forever. But no, like he's definitely a very long-standing viewer, someone I really appreciate kind of having around. And very supportive of sort of streamers and people that I've known on this platform for a very long time.
To victory!
You will soon hold the enemy's victory point.
Okay, so we can take these guys on.
Awaiting orders! Foes, beware!
I think right now we're just going to focus on getting the capture point. Although we can send some young spears to take people in the back. It's probably time for me to bring... Well, actually, you know what? They can help a lot with the Islanders. These spearmen are having a tough time.
For victory! Great courage! With me! Trained and ready!
Right, these guys are a
Strike hard!
bit of a challenge, so... I'm going to hold the light spearman with this spearman, but I do kind of need to make sure that I have somebody coming up in the rear.
The enemy has lost a victory point.
Okay, good news. So again, we're still banking on... Well, these guys are going to fall soon, so... We can bring a little bit more weight. It's not quite as bloody as last time.
Duty over all! Strong and mighty! No mercy! Slings prepared! Massacre them! Wipe them out!
All right, and we should be able to see the
Is close enough to
morale
taste.
just sort of evaporate with that attack from behind. I definitely wanted to get coffee. But no, and I know you had something on the one day I was talking about, so I hope that went well.
Attack!
So I know they're mostly running just because they're... Oh, this is a neat one. So this is probably wasting this, but... So in the Iliad, you'll have sort of these people have this like divine inspiration and do some really amazing things on the battlefield. That's basically what this ability does. But like I said, it was wasted, so I'm just going to end it. Close victory. You have won the battle, but do not celebrate too much, for the gods will look ill upon he who came so near to defeat. So I'm doing a terrible job of explaining what I'm doing here. No, I mean, overall, 97 losses is not that bad. We were roughly even, and they were in the defensive position. So as far as I'm concerned... Actually, no, they had more than me. As far as I'm concerned, that is the better performance. But in this case here, I was willing to end the battle earlier just because we know that we wipe out all the enemy by taking the city. So again, as much as I'd love to replenish, we want to occupy.
How gratified.
This gained Sapper. You need a strong back and arms and no fear of confined spaces, of course. Oh, and nerve by the cartload. So -1 to enemy siege holdout time, +3 morale to all units in siege battles. We've also gained the Leaden Spear. Eat molten lead, she-goat. +6 melee attack to the hero, +70 melee damage for the hero. This item or follower is ready to be assigned to a character of your choosing. Okay, so let's just see whether or not we can actually equip that thing. Okay, so we can do Drill Expert for additional recruit rank, or Ambassador of Hermes, which will grant fatigue reduction to all units in the hero's army. I'm kind of tempted to reduce fatigue. It's nice as it is to have experience. We'll get experience by sort of raising, or by fighting more. And, okay, this gives me +10 morale, melee attack, 6 melee attack, 70 melee damage. I mean, tempting, but let's keep the Sword of Titius. And we will recruit. Okay, we don't have that much in terms of recruitment options, so I could get the militia for a little bit more. I could go for the militia for a little bit more absorption in terms of enemy missiles, but I think in this case I'm going to go for the young spears. They just do a bit more damage, and the hope here is that I'm going to be able to avoid enemy fire. And then we're going to move on Corinth. Again, probably some of this will depend on what this character's doing. Okay, I'm already building the tin trader, so until we get 660 stone, this isn't really going to do much for me. Now, if I wanted, I could build the practice range. That actually seems like a good idea here. Yep, that's fine. I was wondering if they were going to just try and siege Argos or something, but I'm assuming they are defending Corinth. All right, muster the troops. The number of men you command. Oh, well, we just read that, so food and bronze as a reward. Laying the foundations, construct any building. We're already starting on that. Buildings constructed in your cities grant benefits to your faction. More buildings will aid with the development of your kingdom. And with a war effort abroad, it only remains to choose what to construct. Buildings may be constructed in a selected settlement on the province overview panel. Learn more about building construction here. Thriving settlement. Upgrade the main building on any settlement. Developing a settlement increases the number of buildings that may be constructed within it. Expanding your facilities in this way will greatly improve your ability to defend your borders at home and wage war abroad. A settlement may be developed by upgrading the first building within it, shown on the province overview panel. Growth points earned by the province over time must be spent in order to do this. So we're kind of on our way to doing that. So I could get extra bronze. This will... Or I could get extra wood. Kind of feel like wood gets used a lot more in the different construction that I'm doing, so let's upgrade the wood first. Unless that costs growth. Two turns. Okay, yeah, that does eat up my population surplus, but it's not clear that I'm going to get the 304 stone anytime soon. So, I'm going to run with that.
Duty and honor.
Okay.
Get in there.
So I'm attacking this unit first. They are gonna... So there's gonna be a couple consequences for this. Number one, they're gonna be reinforced by the settlement. But as long as I win, I am gonna be able to bring those units into my army. So again, we want to think a little bit about how we're gonna handle this. We've got we've got 3 ranged units in total. I do need to be careful about the light spearmen because we've learned we struggle with those. The islanders are no problem. Sword skirmishers we should take a look at. I don't think they'll be a problem. So it's the ranged units and the light spearmen that I want to sort of dedicate the strong units towards. And again, the hope is that we don't spend too much effort to take these units out. The other thing that's worth mentioning is that because they're reinforcing, we may be able to rush them. Of course, if we fail to rush them, then we wind up in a tough spot. So it's we'll see how it goes. Then mighty Diomedes of the war cry charged with his bronze-tipped spear, and Athena pushed forward, so it slipped between Ares' ribs, where the war belt cinched his waist. With a strike she injured him and ripped the divine skin, then drew out the spear once more, and mighty Ares roared. The Iliad, Book 5. Okay, so we don't get the advantage of fog unless we wait, but I think we'll start the deployment. It doesn't hurt to have intel. So we're going to do the same... Well, actually, hang on. So this is a tough call. Oh, this is interesting. So if the enemy reinforcements are coming here, maybe we just ignore this. Okay, so sword skirmishers... my young spears need to worry about them. Everyone else is able to handle them. So you know what we do, especially because this is going to give me some high ground. I think I'm actually going to force them to come to me. And I think what we do here is we just chew up the reinforcements as they arrive. So, just to be cautious, we'll keep something in reserve. And then where I can, I do want to mess with the sword skirmishers, so we'll just keep these guys in a safe spot. Okay, let's see how this goes. It's going to be pretty embarrassing if the enemy doesn't show up here. I guess they don't. Well, so much for my advantage then. I'd almost do a rematch for it, but I think we can reposition without too much effort, so...
The enemy is receiving reinforcements.
I concur. Make
Sacre bleu. Okay, I think I get it. It's because we were too close. Okay, so it definitely looks like they're making their move. Again, we're still going to chew them up here.
Destroy the foe! Destroy the foe! Slings! Massacre them! Finish what you started!
Okay, so these spear units are a worry.
Spears! No mercy! No mercy! Massacre them! Great courage! To the death! Combat ready! Onward! Awaiting order!
Okay, I'll let this get out of hand.
Strike hard!
But I'm not going to reset.
Destroy the foe!
I'm going to just try and make sure that I... So again, I want to mop this up as quickly as I can and then sort of reconstitute so we can take on the sword skirmishers.
Wreak havoc! Slings prepare!
It's still to my advantage to kind of keep this fight going.
Spears! Axes! Ready to serve! Wreak havoc!
Your warriors are losing heart.
Slings!
Alright, that's not so good, but... The one drawback is that we're not really wiping out the units doing this because they're in a pretty close place to retreat. But as you can see, we're definitely going to be able to...
Combat ready!
We're definitely going to be able to engage them from a position of strength.
Your warriors are rallying.
Probably want to be a little more careful of what I'm doing with those units, but...
Trains ready! Lethal at range!
Okay. These guys are probably going to break, but...
Moving up! Spears! Destroy the foe! Awaiting order! Over! Attack! You will be trained and ready! Hit the enemy! Hungry for glory! On the move! Masters of war! Wipe them out! Spears! Hungry for
This
glory!
isn't exactly how I wanted this to go, but...
Slings prepare! To glory!
I'm actually going to change the angle here.
Massacre them!
Okay, yeah, they're going to break. Drat.
Trained and ready! Combat ready! Diomedes! Axes!
Oh,
No mercy!
there's more!
Diomedes! Eviscerate them! Go at them! Fear makes
So this kind of sucks just because of the time it's going to take to cross the distance. But these are my expendable units, so...
sons of Achaea! Wipe them out! Let's see blood! Axes! Diomedes! Spears! Wreak havoc! Advance, men!
If we have to chase them, so be it.
Honor and courage! Strong and mighty! No one will remember you! Stick to fighting!
Okay, other than these guys, everything's where it needs to be. The real hope here is that we're able to just inflict as many deaths as possible so we don't have to fight them when we do the siege. Oh, I had that on at the start of the stream, Olaf. Everybody had an update for me to work with. So yeah, the Axemen are definitely definitely could be in better shape. So I really want to finish this fight as soon as possible. Okay, we're getting chased all over the map, so These guys I'm just gonna run away with.
And die with dignity.
Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about where we are now.
Diomedes!
They're a lot more evenly matched than I want them to be. Like, you'll notice my health's pretty low.
Hades has claimed the enemy here.
Okay.
That works. Spears! Don't hold back!
Actually, let's try and take these guys. We got a bunch of tired people here.
Diomedes! I
I
will!
should let Diomedes maybe walk to the fight. Because again, this guy's at full health. He is very tired, but then so is Diomedes. On the other hand, it's also true that I do want to do as much damage as possible to the units on the battlefield, so it's a tricky division. So one thing I maybe want to try and do here is see if we can get the sword skirmishers engaged, and then we start throwing rocks into their back. Alright, now this is a concern. These guys should not be losing against renowned slingers. I don't really want to make them run, though, because that's just going to mean I lose more troops. Mind you, we're losing quite a few already. All right.
Victory
Yeah, so they
is
broke.
close enough to taste.
Okay, so this is one of these cases where I do want to run them down, because every unit that I don't kill is one that I'm going to have to fight in that siege. The other big thing on this is that, so the reason why I fought this here, one, is definitely about weakening the enemy position for the siege, but number two, I want to be able to, do the, take captives option. What has an 18 gigabyte update, out of curiosity, Olaf? So in this case, I'm just going to fast forward it. We don't need to see the... Don't need to see the details. As beautiful as they are. Okay, so that's going to be one that I have to fight later. And we should be able to take out the hero. Heroic victory. Victory is yours. Revel in your might and bask in fleeting glory. Oh, sorry. I thought you said like wow, as in oh wow, it's this much. Sorry, I'm an idiot. Okay. Oh yeah, it's probably heroic because they outnumbered us. So if we do take them on, that's a decent little bit of replenishment. I'm not really sure that the Argive Raiders are better off, and of course my hero is pretty weak by the end of that. Still, I think it's worth it.
Hard work is rewarded.
Okay, so this is a little bit of a problem because we're going to have to chase this guy down at some point. We've become daring mere minutes after the plan has been agreed. This one can be found in the very thick of the action, risking life and limb. But yeah, in this case here, I think we go for Corinth. I mean, it's half strength. I don't know if there's walls. Okay, no walls. This is definitely a battle we can win. In fact, they don't have any ranged units, so the slingers are going to come into their own here. This also gives Diomedes a chance to take a break. And Terror and Dread join the fray, and Relentless Strife too, the sister and comrade in arms of bloodthirsty Ares. Strife, such a small thing when she first appears, but soon she stands as tall as the heavens and walks across the world. Now Strife hurtled down among both sides, the great leveler Hate, who waded through the throng of battle, filling men's hearts with anguish. Okay, this time fog doesn't benefit me, so we'll wait for better conditions. And this one's going to be a little bit different, so I am going to put... Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the healthy units up front. Everybody who needs some recovery we're going to keep in reserve. So the exception to this would be the slingers. Those are going to go right up in front. So again, I'm not opposed to using these units. It's just we're in a position where I don't necessarily need to, and Diomedes stays right in the back here. So I'll move his one. Actually, it looks like they might be going on the aggressive.
All good. I agree. Battle ready. Spears.
Okay, so the light spearmen become a worry, so I'm actually going to start by flinging rocks at them.
Hungry for glory.
And counterintuitively, I'm actually moving my young spears up so that we can take out the islanders.
Diomedes. I concur. For the Achaeans. Destroy the foe. To glory. Spears. No mercy. In good order. Slaves. Wipe them out. Diomedes. I will. Trained and ready. Onward. Slaves prepared. Eviscerate them. I'll cut you down. Go at them. Forward we go. Lethal outrage. Sons of Achaea. Spears. Wipe them out. Awaiting orders. Forward march. Make your peace now. Feel free to talk while I Diomedes down.
Again, I want to be kind of careful about the damage that Diomedes is taking, but if we can get them to end the battle quickly, then
Victory
it's
is
worth it.
close enough to taste.
Wipe them out.
Okay, so these guys are already broken.
No mercy. Diomedes. Take them.
Yeah, this guy was too new to have a chance. And I think in this one we'll end the battle. So, decisive victory. You are victorious. The corpses of the enemy litter the ground, and those still able to flee do so with the laughter of our gods ringing in their ears. So that was one where the morale kind of carried us through the day. So we outnumbered them, obviously, but in this case here, it was more about loss minimization because, again, we're going to want to heal. We're going to want to heal in this settlement. We're not going to be able to recruit through the capture. So, again, could loot on Occupy, but we Occupy instead.
Hard work is rewarded.
And Exemplary, strong of arm but stronger of heart. This one is a soldier at their very core. So, +3 morale to all units in the hero's aura, and -10 morale of all enemy units.
Diomedes.
And I think, so I do have the Strategos, which will be coming up in 4 turns. I've still got 13 left, so let's add... So we've got 5 for the front line. We'll add another young spears while I'm at it. I may change the composition later, So I suppose we don't know exactly what's going to happen with this unit here, but I'm presumably they're just going to suicide into Corinth. But it seems to me like we have our choice now of where we move. We could go after Megara, although it does seem like we're on reasonably good terms. This is Ajax, right? Now, if we were to attack Mycenae, that's wonderful. But the rest of the faction may not be too happy with me for doing that. Oh, dominance acquired. The deeds of Diomedes prove his worth. You've received 50 dominance for defeating the faction leader in battle against the Corinthians. 100 dominance acquired. Through your brilliant strategic victories on the battlefield, you have severely curtailed the enemy's ability to wage war. You can spend 100 dominance points to intimidate a lesser faction into an unfavorable diplomatic deal, such as territory exchange, a trade agreement, or a treaty. If you gather 200 dominance points, you can use these to increase the value of a confederation deal. Another 60 dominance. I don't know if it gives me a running tally, but in this case, we're already at 200. Diomedes has claimed the settlement in Corinth, Mycenae, by glorious victory in battle. Our kingdom grows, and stories about Diomedes spread throughout the land. Now, again, unless we take Mycenae, we're not going to be able to put the decree on. But I'm happy enough to take the territory. So Argolis, we don't have the. Oh, hang on, 1 turn till surplus. So never mind. Build the tin trader. Okay. Okay, so we can take the Guidance of Ares for 50 dominance from the Kill This Hero and Raid Resources objectives, or 100 dominance for Defeat Faction Leader. I think I prefer Guidance of Athena in this case. And then Wrath of Argos, plus 10 melee and weapon damage for units with Ferocity, or plus 4 melee defense for all units. I mean, it's kind of cool to be able to have a little bit more staying power for my Spearmen. Yeah, no, you know what? We'll do the extra defense. So for now, I'm content letting them heal, but let's think. I feel like there's a few things we should be doing here. I haven't really engaged with trade yet, so.
I wonder who is ripe for the picking.
So one thing I do like about this one, I've always found negotiations to be a bit of a pain in the Total War games. You can actually go for a quick deal. So we can get non-aggression with Sparta and Pylos. Now, whether or not we want non-aggression with Pylos is another matter. Military access, Sparta will grant it for us. We can do a defensive alliance. Actually, we can do a military alliance. But I presume, yeah, they won't confederate. So let's go for a full military alliance with Sparta, especially because we'll probably be able to get some goodies out of that as well. So, sure, we'll grant military access. Now, let's see. Let's go for a single barter. So they will take stone and gold, and they'll give up food. So we can get a lot of food from them for this. Now, maybe we don't care about that much food, but let's, again, see what we can get. Okay, so 1,000. They'll even give up a bit of stone. See what we can get wood-wise. Okay, looking good. 28 doesn't really mean that much to me, so. Here, I'm just looking to keep that sign green. So basically, we're trying to clean out Sparta just for the advantage of the military alliance. I want this already, right? But oh, sorry. I wanted to see. So yeah, nobody wants to confederate. We don't really have much in terms of alliances yet. So Pylos, Acus, Dionysius. Ooh, Mycenae doesn't even want non-aggression. Interesting. So I guess the tricky part for me is that I'm feeling pretty confident in myself right now, so it doesn't necessarily seem like an advantage to me to hold back from agreements. Now, I do need a source of stone, so how do the Arcadians feel about me? Okay, so they're a Danon pillar of great affluence. When given the choice, if you opt to support the Danons, this one will become a faithful ally of yours. Beware, if or should you betray any of them, the vengeance of all Danon pillars will be merciless. Well, I guess we're not in an alliance with them right now, so that's kind of nice. Okay, well, actually, I guess if I haven't said to support the Danons, the question might be, like, what happens if I just want to go after Agamemnon? I mean, right now it says strength rank of 5, so they would probably be able to clobber me. Maybe that's because of the defensive alliances. I probably shouldn't try and rock the boat on that. But yeah, I'm not sure how the Danon pillar thing works if I haven't declared my allegiance. So yeah, maybe we do try and make our move on the Arcadians. So we're like sort of friendly, but there isn't anything as far as defenses are concerned. They have resources that I want. They're neighboring Sparta. So I'm thinking maybe we gobble up the stone and the gold. And then we either move to probably Ionia from that. Tiberiosity, thank you very much for the raid. How you doing? Okay, one way or the other, we can't do much. Oh, sorry, there is one other thing I want to do, and that's Divine Will. So Athena... So I tend to like going for Aphrodite because of the growth and happiness. Athena is someone kind of on my side, though. I don't know. We'll still focus on... Although it's the prayer that matters. Okay, so Hera missile damage. That's pretty good, actually. Zeus, melee clubs, Ares, recruitment capacity, Apollo, priestesses, Athena, spear units. I don't know, I feel like the prayer to... It should be the prayer to Aphrodite and then the... Ugh. Now, I'm still going to focus on Aphrodite because of the organized games. So, 500 for the Hecatomb. Damn it! That's Athena. All right, well, sorry, Aphrodite. How you doing, Zen? Temples and rituals have pleased the gods. The omens clearly show their favor. Okay, I'm going to leave this be. I think I am going to pursue the war against the Arcadians next. So Tiberiosity, what were you playing recently? I know you were doing some Cyberpunk for a while, but I don't think you were playing that tonight. Cool. So I can auto-resolve it. Space Engineers, then Planet Crafter. I've played neither. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do here, we'll try and get the slingers to take out the sword unit. And then the tricky business is... yeah, everybody struggles against the hero. That's a problem.
Awaiting orders. Awaiting orders. Lethal at range.
So again, we want to start with the slings against the sword skirmishers.
Spears. Masters of war. As ordered. Axes. Diomedes.
I'll keep Diomedes in the area for morale.
Athena's blessing. Swords.
These are kind of expendable, but I think probably seeing them wiped out is going to freak out the other units, so we'll keep them in reserve. Yeah, so they're charging me.
For the Achaeans. Moving up. Axes. All good. As ordered.
So a smart thing would be to just sort of spread all these units out, but right now I just kind of want as many projectiles as possible hurting the sword skirmishers.
Diomedes. Combat ready. Forward we go. Wipe them out. Wipe them out. Go at them. Spears. Don't hold back. Attack. Axes. Spears. Death from afar. For the Achaeans. Spears.
So already the morale's pretty brutal just because of the difference in units. I'm pretty sure if we charged him, he'd
I agree.
fall.
Hungry for glory. Combat ready.
So what I am going to do though is I'm going to get him in. I'm going to get Diomedes in the range because he does inflict a morale penalty.
That works.
Okay, that's less than ideal.
Embrace dawn. Ready for war.
There we go.
Pray. If you think it will help, are you done talking?
Your hero is under attack.
Oh, I'm about to get crushed.
And mighty.
I got pretty lucky there. So I went from like 400 health to 100, but we didn't lose the hero, so. Although we may not have, they may actually just run away and... Yeah, I'm actually going to rematch that. Or maybe I can't. Okay, that's a bit of a shame, actually. I kind of should have thought that through. It would have been better for me to see that through to the end so I don't have to chase them down. I mean, I guess we did get the 5% replenishment, which is kind of nice. Laying the foundations. Okay, so that's extra wood and stone. Thirst for conquest. Maintain control of 2 provinces, either by direct ownership or through vassals and military allies. Territorial control is key to growing your power. Expand your borders by marching against your enemies and claiming their lands for yourself. We've got the Citheronian pelt. Appear to the enemy as a Citheronian lion and appear to them as Zeus's son. +2 to motivation and +5% to casualty replenishment. So probably something I'm going to wind up putting on another unit when I can. Okay, but yeah, this is fine here. It's just because of the motivation. Now, okay, so the question is, do I want to annoy my Cine doing this? I don't think I do. Okay, so I'd normally want to stay inside a settlement. I am actually going to march my units.
Ready to march, Oathkeeper.
I'm going to march my units just so that I can get the get into range of Mantinea.
Not really an option.
Still short of the stone I need. But I definitely am okay giving up the wood. Okay, we'll upgrade the port first. So this is just because of the bonus towards the resources and growth. Bronze is nice, but I've got probably more bronze than I really need, so we'll start with that. Yeah, so there's been a couple of blunders in terms of how I've handled all of this, but I don't think it will prove fatal. Although I guess if they go and attack Corinth again, they'll probably take it. I don't think they know what they want to do. So maybe if we can clean them up, I'll take a detour. I am kind of tempted to take that city that I want because it looks like they moved their main army out of the way. Okay, your people are eager to follow your orders, for it is through your wisdom that they will flourish. Issue a royal decree and they will be put to work. Available decrees may be viewed on the royal decrees panel. So we finished that. Thriving settlement. So that's a bunch of wood and stone.
Your people are natural seafarers, and ports are the pillars on which your society is founded. Build up your coastal cities, and they will outshine all others in the civilized world.
So we've kind of already done that. Okay. Maximum strength. The specter of war clouds the horizon in all directions. Increase the size of your forces further, for the battles to come will tax your strength. 2 turns before the Strategos finishes their work. Okay, so we need 2 population surplus. That comes in 3 turns. I think I'm willing to save up for that.
Count on me.
Okay, and we are going to be able to take them out. So, again, I would have liked to have attacked here, but this is a chance for me to clean up the enemy. I'm just going to auto-resolve this one because I don't see there being a whole lot of sophistication to that particular fight. Yeah, lost 2 people. So I can take them on to fill in the last... spill their blood.
The prisoners. How gratifying.
And we got a bronze mirror for extra morale. Factions destroyed. The Corinthians have been vanquished. There's nothing left of them but myth, legends, and a somber reminder of the fickleness of the gods. So, the reason why I did most of this is so that I can do some recruitment in my home province again. So we've got 5 spearmen for a front line. So 6 young spears. I don't think it would hurt to have a little bit more in terms of range.
Of course.
I need to leave at least 1 open for the Strategos unit. So I mean, I could go nuts on the ranged units, but that seems kind of lame. Okay, so let's compare the spearmen with the young spears. So young spears have lower armor, lower morale, faster speed, better melee attack, lower melee defense, and a higher charge bonus. So yeah, you know what? I'm going to over... And then the militia, lower melee defense, but higher... Oh, hang on. I think I'm getting this wrong. Okay, so the militia, lower morale, lower melee attack. Okay, yeah. So the spearmen... Okay, so the spearmen have more armor, more morale, lower speed, lower melee attack, better melee defense, and a lower charge bonus. So compared to the militia have lower morale, lower melee attack, slightly higher damage, which is actually quite surprising to me, with lower charge bonus. So I think we'll load up on young spears. Just because they're cheap and presumably do quite a bit of damage.
On the path to victory.
Okay, we can do Zeus's Wrath, which will reduce armor, or we could do Olympian Throw, which will throw a spear causing damage. I definitely like the idea of reducing armor. Next Royal Decree, so I do think we need stone, even though we're going to try and take a region that has stone. And then I think we're ready for the next turn. I should probably start spending some of my turns figuring out if I can do any more alliances or trade or whatever. The gods' love has withered away. They no longer look to us. Okay. So one more turn before I can recruit my big, scary Strategos unit. Okay, I'm not ready to upgrade that settlement because of the Or hang on. That shouldn't affect Argos's population surplus. So... we can get extra food. Currently we're generating 854, so the woods are probably more important for me here. Argolis again, I don't think I want to focus. Well, hang on, I guess I could work on the tin merchant. 2 turns. Ah, and then I would be able to upgrade. Okay, this makes it a little harder actually, because this gives me some better units. Okay, so we are going to upgrade the watchtower after all. So what I can maybe do is get a second... at that point, I can get a second army. I can start maybe giving them some of the hand-me-downs. But now on the odd chance that there winds up being some sort of reputational risk to this, I am going to declare war on them. So I'm not going to call Sparta for help. But yeah, they just have non-aggression pacts, so... But why does my added reliability go down? I mean, they're not an ally, so... Maybe this is a pillar thing?
I am interested in hearing what's on offer.
This is so unusual. Declaring war while having treaties or shortly after breaking them is considered an act of treachery. Now, it seems to me that I never had... Oh, hang on. When the hell did I work this out? Oh, that's a real shame. Ah, 5 turns. Okay, well that's fine. I'd rather not mess with my reputation. So if I just were to declare war on Mycenae, that is probably suicidal, but on the chance that I felt suicidal.
I look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Okay, so it says here that this would be... But again, it seems to me that I didn't declare a peace treaty. So... This leaves me with these guys. Again, I would have changed my where I move my unit if that was the case, but... So do I suffer the penalty if I attack these folks? I know there was something that Homer had said I should do. Okay, so Ionia... I mean, they hate me.
Waste of time to me.
Cool. I don't know about the Athena part of the equation, but okay. So it seems to me like just moving close to the region is the best way to start. So again, it says 5 turns before I can clean all this up. And then I suppose I can decide, do I want to try and go after Mycenae, or do I want to, or Mycenae, or do I maybe want to try and claim that source of stone? Not entirely sure, to be honest, but I don't need to decide that this turn. So this we get access to in 2 turns. I think I will keep investing in Athena because of those spears. Okay, Ajax would like bronze for food. I have a lot of food right now, and I generate 173. That's a lot of my surplus that he's asking for, so let's say no. Although I would like better relations with Ajax, particularly if Athens is going to be coming after me. Because he's kind of a buffer in between the two. Out of curiosity, because I am getting kind of close to the end, or the time I would normally end, is Total War working for everyone? Is this something you'd like to see me do again in future, or do I not do a very good job of explaining sort of why I'm doing particular moves? You love Total War? Okay. Because yeah, I sort of feel like I'm sort of babbling over the battles as opposed to explaining strategy. Oh wow, there's a lot of Total War fans here. Okay, Paragon training complete. Polydoros, your Paragon unit has completed training with one of the Strategos, greatly enhancing their battle prowess through a combination of advanced teachings and a punishing physical regimen. You can now recruit this paragon as part of your armies and may initiate the training of another paragon unit at any time. The shiny city, the cities of your burgeoning state grow in stature, continue their development, and they will become glittering jewels of the Aegean. And firm but fair. This one is sometimes stern, sometimes stony, but always entirely equitable. Thank you very much, Dickory. You have over 10k hours combined in all the Total Wars. That is ridiculous. So what is your favorite one then, if you don't mind me asking? So I sort of feel like I can't march into their territory, but I can at least stay like right at the edge.
On the path to victory.
So here we'll do the special recruitment for the Spearman Apollodoros. Same trick here. So at some point I'm probably going to want to recruit another hero. One more turn before my population surplus, so it's tempting to go for the... Actually, you know what? Let's cancel that because we're going to be getting light spears soon. So 1040 and 85, and it's going to cost me 975. So yes, we can afford the tin, better tin merchant. Oh, I should have checked to see if there were any deals. Alright, so a lot of goodies for us here. Construct one of the following buildings. Training camp. While Thesanders stood at Agamemnon's side, Laodamas, son of Eteocles, marched on seven-gated Thebes. With Thebes' ruler Thesander away to support Agamemnon's war against Troy, the treacherous son, Eteocles Laodamas, has overpowered the Theban defenses and retaken the holy city, which you helped conquer when you were merely 14. In the name of both your fathers and the seven against Thebes, Thesander asks that you prepare to march by his side once more as the mighty Epigonii. Do I even see Thebes on the map here? This is my spear. There are many like it, but this one is mine. So I feel like we've already built a training camp. Am I going nuts? Ah, hang on. That's the higher level unit. Okay. So we'll start by improving the city.
Ever faithful.
Okay. And again, just in case there's consequences for declaring this war, we'll save. I sometimes feel like the game likes to pull the rug out from under me. Now, this is going to get a little tricky because they are allied with... Oh, sorry. Actually, before I do that...
I can hardly stop.
Let me just see if I can make some deals with other... Okay. Not really. Salamis seems like a natural ally, but they don't actually want to They don't want to come on side. So, I don't think I want any of these deals.
Looks
Again,
like a waste of time to me.
they are allied with Athena, and I suspect they are going to... Oh, interesting. They're at war with the Arcadians. But yeah, no, we're definitely gonna declare war on them. So the problem here is that Athena's probably gonna cause me some grief, but I don't really want to bring Sparta into this particular fight. So.
You want war? You've got it.
And yeah, Athena has joined. So this is going to make life a bit difficult for me, I think, as a starter. So I don't think there's any agents I can recruit, but maybe we go for another hero. Now, I wish I understood if a fighter, a warlord, or a... Well, maybe the help menu will actually... Was it the help menu? There was definitely something that gave an explanation. Okay, whereas fighter skills focus on the hero's own prowess in battle, warlord heroes contribute to engagements indirectly by bolstering friendly troops. Warlord classes include commander, specialized in supporting allied units. Warmongers focus their skills on aggression. Mentor is useful on the campaign map, offering a variety of skills. Fighters are specialized in causing direct damage to the enemy at close range, also effective at negating the influence of enemy heroes on the battlefield. Or defenders... supporting... Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe we would go for a commander in an ideal situation. +2 motivation if the hero wins a battle, but not as part of a reinforcing army. +1 after they end their turn in an owned province with organized games. So these are all good for me. -2 when they lose a battle, and -1 if they end in an owned province with negative populace. Okay, I can work with that. Yeah, so this kind of ticks all the boxes, so... It looks like we actually saw a pretty severe reduction in terms of our food as a result. I'm actually going to wind up recruiting a few more deluxe units than I was expecting.
I will.
This might actually create starvation. Anyways, I want something that I can chuck into Diomedes' army pretty quickly.
I serve with honor. Ruin their day.
Oh wow, we really chose a tough engagement. Okay, for this one I have to build siege engines. I'm just gonna hammer them through. They're probably gonna wind up sallying forth to attack me, but it's tough, right? These are just skirmishers and stuff like that. It's not actually the hardest force that I'm gonna go up against. But the idea of trying to scale the walls against this nonsense strikes me as being a bit of a pain. So I'm going to continue the siege. I probably won't starve them out, but I at least want like a siege unit that I could try and make some progress on. Okay. So we've got light spearmen here. At this point, I think we're gonna try and equip something a little more special. This is probably a mistake to do, to be honest, but do I want to upgrade? So this will definitely demolish. I may want to demolish this one. I guess the question is, what would I build in its place? Well, that's not hurting anything, so yeah, we'll hang on to that. I'm assuming there's nothing else interesting for me to build here. So at some point I do want to build the loggers' tents. I probably should have done that earlier. But yeah, nothing special for us here. So Agamemnon wants a non-aggression pact, and they will give me wood for it. TLDR, Warhammer 3 first place, Rome 2 second, Empire third place. It depends, to be honest, because it depends on what mood you're in. But you have the most hours in Rome 2, another 1.5 in Attila, 800 plus in Warhammer across the 3 games, 500 in Medieval, 400 in Napoleon, and 900 in Empire. But out of all of those, you think Total War Warhammer 3 has the best UI and quality of life upgrades. Rome 2 is just an amazing time period, and Empire has the best campaign map since it spawns over the whole world plus naval battle. Yeah, I actually found Empire kind of hard to get into, but I think it's because I have the benefits of the modern UIs, and so it was a little more confusing to me in terms of how. Now the single barter I'd be willing to do, and I think Ajax, again, is somebody I kind of want to get on good terms with. But yeah, I felt like maybe because it had an older UI, it was a little tricky for me, but Rome 2 I really enjoyed. In fact, I believe Rome 2 I did each of the campaigns, although I will confess Wrath of Sparta didn't quite do it for me. I felt that one was quite slow. But I really liked Empire Divided, and I thought Rise of Rome was kind of interesting because traditionally when you play Rome in these sorts of games, you know, you usually just kind of steamroll over everyone, but of course Rise of Rome, you're actually in a really tough spot. So actually that one was really funny because, oh God, who is it? The starting hero whose name escaped. I know like one of the names, but I'm missing the full name. I actually had him at the very end. Like he did not die over the whole campaign, which surprised me, let's say. So the thing I'm kind of hoping for here is that we're going to be able to finish the battles on this side of the map before we go. Okay, so they do sally forth. This is not going to be easy, but again, they're the attacker in this case here, and so they don't get to hide behind their walls. Ooh, and I have the woods. This will work quite well for me. It is never good to be ruled by many. Let there be but one king to rule all. Okay, so I think here's what I'm going to do. Again, strong front line here. We're actually going to rush them up to make sure that we can use the woods to our advantage here. Actually, maybe I'll take advantage of these woods. This is kind of the mop-up crew.
At your command. We obey.
And the only tricky part here is I don't really know what to do with the Argive Raiders. I think I'm just going to stick them off to the side here. Okay, so I'm going to get to move them as one big mass,
The enemy
although
is receiving
at
reinforcements.
this point,
I will.
setting him up here is probably just as good. So yeah, the numbers are a little concerning, but as long as we fight smart, we should be able to take to kind of claim victory. I do want to make sure I'm staying in the woods, though. That's going to neutralize any of their advantage as far as range is concerned. It's everything I can do to sort of whittle down their warriors right now, particularly the ones that are susceptible to range. That works in my advantage. Yeah, so basically these spear units can kind of handle anything they throw at me.
The foe has sighted your hidden units.
Wipe them out! Strike hard! Go at them!
Okay, so they are trying to surround me.
Attack! Attack! No mercy!
I think we can take them.
Waiting orders! Battle ready! Masters of war! Forward we go! Let's see blood! Go at them! Combat ready! Destroy the foe! Attack! Diomedes, I concur! Axes!
So I don't have enough people in the fight quite yet.
Don't hold back! To the death! I'll cut you down!
I need to find who's strong with...
Your warriors
Yeah,
are losing
okay.
heart.
Hungry for glory!
So that was a big blunder there.
Strike hard! You're not up to this! Massacre them! Stick to fighting! Your conversation is lacking! Trained and ready! Diomedes! Great courage! Spears! Destroy the foe! Attack!
So the problem is I've got too many units focused on
Foes beware!
too many areas.
See blood! Axes! Awaiting orders! No mercy!
Now I can't win everywhere, so I do need to start picking some fights. But I
Your
need-
warriors have been routed.
yeah, we're kind of falling apart on this side here. So let's clean them up here, and then we move our forces sort of around the edge.
Unworthy opponent! To war!
This is one of these cases where I'd probably want to actually go on the slow mode,
For the Achaeans! Awaiting
but we're starting to break through here. So let's see if we can run around the side and reinforce our people.
strike hard! That works! Take them! Masters of war! Your death is inevitable! Death from afar! Attack! At your command! Wipe them out! Don't hold back! Is your funeral pyre prepared?
The other thing is we are going to want to make sure that we wipe them out because they sallied
Your
forth.
warriors
So
are rallying.
unless we can wipe out some of these units, it's not going to mean anything.
For Argos! Strong and mighty! Combat ready! Foes beware! Combat
too many people focusing on single units, so let's try and get these numbers matching a little bit better.
Cowardly! Wipe them out! Slings! Strike on! To glory! Spear!
So if I can, I want to stop the ranged attacks coming in. The other thing I'm going to do now is try and wipe out some of these enemy heroes.
Destroy the foe!
And it looks like for the most part they're on the run.
Massacre them! Embrace your doom!
So the other thing we want to do is make sure that we can, so wipe out as many
Victory
units as we
is
can.
close enough to taste.
Wipe them out! You will not be missed! Let's see blood! Your conversation is lacking!
Ideally we'd chase down... Actually, let's try and get the young spears on those. The most important thing right now is if somebody's idle, we want them chasing someone down. It doesn't even matter who.
Slings! Don't hold back! For the Achaeans! At your command! Massacre them! Destroy the foe! Great courage! Spears! Don't hold back! Sons of Achaea! Pray, if you think it will help. All mouths hungry for glory!
Again, some of this is not going to turn out, but if I can chase down as many units as I can and wipe them out, then that's just something I don't need to worry about for the defense. In particular, if I can take out the ranged units, that helps me a lot. You're losing the fight to sleep, so you're going to have to lurk. No problem, Takri. Thank you very much for hanging out as always. Sorry I didn't talk a little bit more about the Iliad, but I will try and have some stuff prepared for the next time that I do this, whenever that is. Okay, got another group of people that's not really doing that much. Let's try and run them down here. This may be the wrong call. Now, there's a lot of casualties that I've taken, but again, it's worth remembering that here I do get the option of recruiting some of the people I've
Hades has claimed the
taken
enemy
out.
hero.
Okay, that's great news there. I don't think there are any more heroes on the battlefield, though, so it doesn't do that much for me. Should probably pile on these guys. At this point, we're really just trying to get whatever we can. We're clearly running out of targets.
Wipe them out! The men are fleeing! Sons of Achaea! Spears! Sons of Achaea!
Although again, the point of this is just to wipe out whatever's left. There is, from what I understand, you also get experience for taking out enemy units. So I suppose it's good for training up my army. But in this case here, it's really just making sure that these things don't survive to be able to defend the city when I siege it. And I think it's pretty fair to say that next turn, unless we're severely depleted as far as troops are concerned, I definitely feel like we need to make a move on taking the settlement. Because again, the sooner we take the settlement, the sooner we can pivot to defending against Athena. Or Athens. Close victory! You have won the battle, but do not celebrate too much, for the gods will look ill upon he who came so near defeat. I mean, they outnumbered us. We lost 494. There's 27 remaining in this army, 101 in the other, so... I feel like that was a good round for us. 16% replenishment, yeah. So we've got 3 enemy units. This was a win for us. I don't care what the... And I've gained an achievement. Tropion. What's that? When a campaign battle that results in a blood totem appearing. Your administration tier has changed as you marshal or lose heroes and armies, and your domain size and sophistication change. Its need for resources and its capacity to sustain itself will shift as well. So tier change from 1 to 2. So it seems like I am now in a deficit. Okay. Cretan hat, a finite cranial adornment for the Minoan people of some civic or military importance. Let's think about what our next step is. So again, tempting to go for Athens right away. Clearly here I need to get to Diomedes as quickly as possible. But here we're going to do the siege. And apparently I can't quick save. So this shouldn't be too mysterious in terms of how we're going to do it. I'll take my better armored unit and get them on the battering ram. Actually, I have more than one battering ram, so it might be an idea. So I will try and take both gates. This is really just so that the enemy is going to have to divide their forces even further. So this is good. This is going to be the lesser of the two fronts. The majority of my army is actually going to be going here, although I don't think it would be a bad idea to put the majority of units probably should be hanging out in the back.
To victory!
Yeah, this is a little bit of a skimpy group, but we'll enjoy the movie. Wait a minute. Who's pushing this thing? Light spearmen are actually a bit of a worry for me, so I should probably make the move on them. Once the siege engine actually starts doing its thing, I'm going to actually move the units up, because I think these things can crush the gates pretty quickly. Oh, okay, or I just won't have these guys in the woods at all. So, I don't have high expectations here. I'm just really making up for it on volume. But again, this is a unit that does cause me some trouble, and these guys are probably going to be tired from beating down a door. I bet it'll look cool, though. Already halfway down. I wonder if the strategy is not to use high-quality units for the siege. I mean, I thought these guys would be better,
Your warriors are attacking the
better
gates.
armored, but
Count on me. That works.
The enemy gates have been destroyed.
I'll make it quick.
Forward we go!
Bring death. Can you feel the fear yet? Spears!
You have lost your siege equipment.
I'm totally okay losing the siege equipment at this point. Okay, so this shouldn't be too difficult at this point.
Ready for war. Fear me. Attack!
You have captured the gates.
No one's going to
Trained
miss you.
and ready.
Feel free to taunt me while I cut you
Don't
down.
hold back! Massacre!
The real worry here is just that there's 2 enemy hero units in the area. So what I'll do is I'll peel off 3 of these spear units just to aid.
Wreak havoc.
And then at this point we should go for the objective.
Hades has claimed the enemy hero.
Okay, good news.
With me.
Slings! Spears! Wipe them out!
Massacre them. Slings.
This is a good idea.
Hold
Put them up
fast.
on the
Sons of Achaea.
walls. So yeah, I'm a little worried about some of the lower numbers I see here, but we did get the settlement, which was the goal.
For Argos. Honor and courage. Great courage.
Okay, so 313 losses off of 1347 deployed when I am going to sort of need to take that into the next few battles is not great. But given the fact that this was their, like, this was kind of their main army that we took out, or what appears to be their full army, you know, I can be reasonably happy with that outcome. Okay, so bold. The proud heart feels no terror nor turns to run. So plus 10% aura size. So the hope here is that for the 2 remaining settlements, we just go 1, 2, and clear them all out. Moving on, we can do disciplinarian, minus 15% attrition, plus 35 for raiding. We don't really raid that much. Enables night battle. Target cannot receive reinforcements. I definitely like that. Veil of Nyx seems like the sort of thing that will help me quite a bit. Okay, so we should have already moved. Nope, we still have more movement to do. So I probably want to see if I can get in on good terms with Salamis to try and be able to cross to take Athens. Definitely want to upgrade my food. And we can build a farm. How's that going to help me? So this gets me 60 food per turn. To be honest, I need more, but every little bit helps at this point. And I think I said I was going to build... Well, I wanted to build a logger's tent, but I've already used up all my goodies. And dominance is at maximum, so we can try and force some people to do things. Question is... what? So Mycenae we might be able to coerce into an alliance. I don't think we can with Salamis. Let's see.
Your words are welcome, Diomedes.
Yeah, so I count as strength rate 23, so I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to... Yeah, our faction is... other factions insufficiently weak. Basically, the people that I want the deals with don't like me enough, and I kind of count as relatively weak. I'm assuming just because of the where my units are at. So, for starters, let's do another tomb for Athena. I don't know if I want to do the prayer yet. We're not really recruiting. But I do want the bonus for the spear units. Oh, didn't know we were crossing. Okay, well, Mycenae is mad at me now. What's my equipment like? I think it's as good as I'm gonna get. It's tempting to do this, but I need the food and I should probably preserve the wood, so we'll cross over. We'll see if we can get any intel on what Athens is doing. And again, if I'm lucky, I'm going to be able to take out the main target. Have I seen the new Looney? No, I have not, Vanguard Master. What I think I'm going to do is, again, if I can take out the main objective of this war, then that lets me turn my direct attention towards Athens. And it would be, obviously, it would be nice for me to take out the sort of the regions I was originally considering. It's very blue. I'm going to have to take a look at it now. But given that a war with Athens is an opportunity for me to, expand my territory, I kind of don't want that crisis to go to waste. So. Yeah, so this is the sort of thing I get worried about, right? They're moving on Corinth already, and I don't exactly have a presence to be able to handle it. In fact, they may already be able to move on Corinth. So it might make sense for me to back off. It's hard though, right? Because I kind of have them on the ropes. Okay, House of the Gods. Ensure that one of the following buildings has been constructed. Presumably, we will put up the altar to Athena. The favor of a god may be earned by constructing a shrine for their worship. Build an altar to a god of your choosing to earn their blessing. The bounty of gods and benefits their favor can bring may be viewed in the Divine Will panel. So again, my preference here would be to move on Arrow and such, but... Tricky.
Guard the perimeter. I've got what it takes. Understood. Man the gates.
So yeah, I'm gonna set up in Corinth. It sucks, right? Because this army's in a position. They may even be able to take the city back now that I think of it. But I do need to prepare for the arrival of the Athenians. I'm not in a position to be able to build a new altar yet.
Your offer is well timed.
Not quite there. I suspect as I get stronger, then that will become more attractive. So as always, we want to see what Athens is up to. And depending on how it turns out, I may redirect my forces to this region again. The ideal would be I send the small stack, but what I may also do is a bit of a recruitment drive, just to bolster my numbers so that I can take out those cities. All right, that's a problem. That basically means I lose both the settlement and this army, unfortunately. Well, let's put a brave face on it. It's a pretty strong army, actually. So I probably should have thought of that before I put the person inside the city. But let's at least try and we'll try and take out what we can.
Glorious war! Looking good! Just watch me!
The enemy is receiving reinforcements.
Yeah, so it's light spearmen for days.
Let's see blood! Foes beware! Spears! Swords! Spears! At your command! Combat ready! Massacre them! Hungry for glory! Ready to serve! Go at them! Sons of Achaia!
So here's what I think I'm going to do. Let's focus on this
Your
side.
warriors have spotted hidden foes.
Hungry for glory! Trained and ready! On the move! Right away! For certain! Foes beware! For the Achaeans! Attack! Spears!
So what I want to try and do is just wipe out a group of units here if I can with a flank.
Forward we go!
We know we're going to lose my unit, so
To
the
glory!
one thing I can do is try and
Athena!
make them feel the pain.
As you say! Advance, men! Hungry for glory! Advance, men! Moving up! Onward! Fine by me! Strike hard! Moving up! Spears! Strike hard! Onward!
Let's get these guys to just hold the tide back as long as we can, stop them from attacking the back of my own people.
Combat ready! In good order! No mercy!
Oh, you guys need to be working in here. So again, like the idea here is we want to inflict as much damage as possible before we get overwhelmed.
Perfect tactics! Swords! Destroy the foe! Right!
Your warriors are losing heart.
Retreat!
Let's take them! Godlike power!
I think we're a little too late. Like they're wavering, but they're not quite
Your
not quite
warriors
broken.
have been routed.
You don't stand a chance! Destroy them!
But we'll do our best.
Spears! Sons of Achaia! Don't hold back! Masters of war! No mercy! The men are fleeing back! Trained and ready! Masters of war! Spears! You'll never take me! Swords! Trained and ready! Spears! Go at them!
This is going to be bloody! Looking good! Good to go! At them!
No mercy! Swords! Awaiting orders!
Strike hard! You're out of your depth!
No mercy! Pull out!
Is that it?
So I mean, it's respectable, right? They're down to 9 spearmen on these, but it probably would have been better to try and focus on the light spearmen because the spearmen aren't as fearsome.
Who's for it?
And in the end, we weren't able to take out one of their heroes.
Retreat!
Gut them!
For the Achaeans!
Massacre them!
Let's see blood!
You're going to suffer!
At your command!
Withdraw!
Take care. You are losing ground.
No one's going to miss you.
Enough talk! You waste good fighting
Athena,
time!
guide me! Take them!
Pour out! They will fall! Weightless raven! For Ares! Retreat!
All right, well, didn't even wipe out a unit. Oh well. The real drawback here was that was my light spear that I was kind of counting on. But this should mean that I can take Diomedes and clean up this group. Oh, nope, they just looted Corinth. Rumors have emerged that the sullen Euryalus, no doubt in the group of wine's unreliable influence, has spoken of some imagined slight. Evidently your command has caused their motivation to falter and their gaze to stray away from duty. We must consider the orders given to Euryalus. The current state of melancholy inhibits their abilities, affecting both the troops and peasants around them. A major task could motivate Euryalus from their slump and set them back on the path to greatness. So they're wounded. And yeah, they sacked. Okay. Well, for starters,
Yes. For Athena. Cover the ground. Attack the foe.
it's not really that great of a consolation that I'm able to do that to them. The thing that does annoy me a little bit is it kind of feels like they got away with murder. Like, that unit,
Ever faithful. Let's move out.
that unit that sacked the city, I'm really not sure where that is. Jesus. It's expensive. So yeah, I'm really up against it now because I've got my 20 stack, which I kind of need to use to defend against Athens, but they're only getting stronger in the west. I'm gonna go Band of Heroes so that I can keep more of the Paragon units. Salamis still doesn't want to be friends. Huh.
Victory tastes sweet.
Well, I don't have much in terms of options. So let's see what the next turn brings. I may have to just make a decision, go hard west, wipe out the enemy, and then reclaim Corinth and everything from Athens. Because it's clear I'm not going to be able to sustain two armies the way that I originally wanted. Although they'll be coming back with a fully healed army, so... Oh, well. I guess now we know where they are. So yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't feel that comfortable leaving Corinth sort of abandoned like that, but I also think it was a mistake to leave it in the first place. Huh. I thought it said succeeded. Oh, Ionia's already wiped out. Okay. Well, that sucks for me because I actually wanted... I wanted that stone for myself, so we started this war and got nothing out of it. But maybe we'll just get ourselves a consolation prize by claiming that Athenian territory, and then I believe I can cancel the agreement. So yeah, 10 turns before I can declare war on them, but that is a war I'm going to want to take. Okay, so as consolation for what I lost, let's take some territory off of the Athenians. Now,
I look forward to hearing your offer.
I'd really rather not give them stone. Wow. Yeah, that's not helping at all. Okay, well, you know what? I tried.
I'll do my duty. Prepare for a hard march.
So I suspect what's going to happen is they're going to come and wreck Corinth again. Because the Athenians are not that far from the territory. On the other hand, I am threatening their lands, so maybe they will wise up. We'll see. We've got Athens, Marathon. Well, they also have Chios, so that's going to be kind of hard to claim. But it also seems that they've angered a lot of people, so their army may be tied up longer than expected. So I think what I'll try and do after taking Athens, we'll see how many neighbors with them we can get on friendly terms with. Then we'll try and secure our position from our original location. And then from that, eventually we'll sort of expand out to all these other ones. I guess we'll eventually wind up going to war with Thebes. But I'd feel a little bit better sort of claiming the island either through alliances or conquest, and then moving up here. And I don't mind doing some non-aggression pacts to sort of make sure I'm not going to have to defend this stuff for too long. We'll see, though. Again, like well, now we're getting stone. Happy about the Paragon training, although, yeah, we'll keep training it, I think.
Favored by Athena. Ruin their day. Get in there.
That is a tough army to go up against. I think we're going to do the same trick as before. Wait for them to sally forth. I'm really not sure we can take on heavies, to be completely honest. Like, I don't think there's really armor well, there's some armor piercing. Certainly nothing to compare to the two-handed axe infantry. So yeah, I guess what I really need to hope for here is that I can get some attacks from behind so that they run. One way or another, though, that is going to be a tomorrow me problem. Because I'm tired. I have writing that I need to do. It's already almost 1 o'clock. Now, I'm going to take a quick look here. Did I ever get transcodes? Oh, I hate you so much, Twitch. All right, well, we'll figure out how all that gets sorted. I don't really know anybody streaming. Well, I know a couple people streaming tonight, but I think I'm just going to call it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Sorry for the more mixed stream tonight. I'm glad that you liked Troy. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to do something different. I'm kind of happy that I did something different because of the transcodes thing. I'll just warn you, on Monday, I'm probably going to spend a little bit more time trying to get those quality options back. I might even try maybe doing, I don't know, some kind of an experiment over the weekend to see if I can try and restore that. But yeah, for the time being, you know, this was a get myself back in shape sort of a stream. But this weekend I've got a lot to do. But when all is said and done, I'm going to be back to a normal schedule. So Monday, that's traditionally been Hooded Horse, so I suspect we're looking at Terra Invicta again. Wednesday, we'll be back to Industries of Titan, and then Friday, I'm not really sure what I'm doing Friday. That's kind of been Imperium's Greek Wars, but I also would kind of like to get back to Starflight and stuff like that as well. Anyways, we'll figure it all out. Thank you again, everybody, for watching. I'm sorry I've been gone for a little while, but I assure you it was worth it, and I will try to have those videos up and running for you as soon as possible. But I do have some editing work to do. Take care. See you in the next one.